see me with it. See me with it. See me
Here it is, the brand new Asus ROG Maximus 12 Hero Wi-Fi motherboard. This Z490 based motherboard supports Intel's 10th gen processors. It's designed to offer an outstanding experience, stock or overclocked. The advanced VRM features an impressive 16 power stages to ensure more than enough power under heavy loads. This Hero not only looks cool, but stays cool by design. This new heatsink design is bigger, better, and cooler than previous models. A 3-zone VRM heatsink with a large heat pipe keeps the power circuitry cool. And the M.2 heatsinks keep up to 3 SSDs at the right temperature for consistent performance. To the right of the CPU socket, we have 4 DDR4 DIMM slots for up to 128 gigabytes of RAM. Thanks to our Optimum 3 design and a new daisy chain topology, the Hero can overclock to higher frequencies like 4800 MHz and beyond. With support for our exclusive AI overclocking, AI cooling, and ROG GameFirst 6 software with AI networking, your system can automatically tune itself for the best performance with a few clicks. Setting the industry standard is our pre-mounted I/O shield, making installation a breeze. The back panel includes plenty of USB 3.1 Gen 1 and Gen 2 ports, USB-C, ultra-fast Intel Wi-Fi 6, dual LAN ports featuring 5G and 1G connectivity, Bluetooth 5.1, and analog and optical audio outputs powered by ROG Supreme FX for an immersive audio gaming experience that draws you deeper into the action. To expand your system even further, you'll find a USB 3.2 Gen 2 front panel connector, 3 PCIe 3.0 by 16 slots, 2 of which include our safe slot designed to keep your GPU safe and secure, 2 RGB lighting zones, one on the chipset and the other on the I/O shroud. Addressable and standard RGB LED headers let you coordinate lighting effects across your entire setup with Aura Sync. The best just got better with the Asus ROG Maximus 12 Hero Wi-Fi motherboard.
Hello and welcome to another evening of the XP Esports Women's League here in Season 6. Things are definitely heating up. My name is Blue Panda. Joining me on the mic, as always, of course, it is Cthulhu. And you might notice something. We're looking we're looking pretty spry in our new XP Esports merch. Go check it out if you're keen. Great for exercising, great for keeping the sun off you. So, look, I've already used it several times. It's been through the washing machine like 4 or 5 times already this week, so I can vouch for its quality. But Cthulhu, we're coming into things right now. There is a lot on the line at the moment, and there are a lot of teams and new faces, new orgs coming in that are gunning for that top spot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've had so far absolutely a stunning set of quite a fair few matches and some quite interesting scorelines that switched up the leaderboard from the usual kind of, pace where we had 4 teams kind of continuously locking out the dubs left, right, and center and just gatekeeping everyone else, to now we have a completely different pace where it's everyone's game, really.
And as we take a bit of a look at the league format, of course, how things will be working here in Season 6, it's a pretty straightforward setup. It's 8 teams kicking things off. Round robin, 7 weeks, best of ones, of course. Top 4 then crack on into the playoffs. Top 4 into the semi-finals, into that best 3 format. And then, of course, we whittle it down to the top 2 in that finals. And we have to figure out how things round out, of course, with that 3rd and 4th place match. But Cthulhu, some of the names in this competition this season, honestly, it's anyone's guess who could take it.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, we have some of the big names in form of Overt, Vulpes, Warriors, Forsaken Boba coming in, and then some of the returning names, Grumpy Grapes, Viking Army, Radical Rebels, and Fallen Angels coming about as well. And honestly, all of those teams shown us so far quite some interesting siege with some quite action-packed matches as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how the stage rounds itself here, of course. But the question has to be, what are they playing for? Why are we here? Of course,
exactly.
The prize pool that is up for grabs. These lovely ladies are going to be taken to the field each week, battling it out for a prize pool of $3,000. First place walks away with $1,500, a cool half of that. Second place, $1,000, and third walks away with $500. But Cthulhu, that's not it. That's not all. There is still an extra little goodie that you can bag yourself this stage.
Absolutely, yes. Our friends at ZQ Racing also popped in for yet another phenomenal season and are here to provide the MVP of the season as well with a quite solid, quite phenomenally built gamer chair. And we all know, pretty much, the better your gamer chair is, the better your aim is, and the better maybe even the posture is. So look, yeah, the MVP of this stage will also get the chance to really blast the opposition away with the chair, but again, they will need to sweat as much as possible to make it theirs.
Yeah, look, everyone knows the only thing that is better than RGB and improving your gameplay is a chair. And, well, look, CQ Racing, no slouches when it comes to that, pun intended. But Cthulhu, let's have a look at where we stand coming hot off of last week. The standings as they are. Pretty simple. Warriors have come into this competition alongside Forsaken Boba, and they are swinging pretty heavy.
Absolutely, yeah. Phenomenal game so far from Warriors. Not a whole lot of real big hiccups from either Warriors or Forsaken Boba, and honestly shown a great amount of promise to be the titans of this competition for this season. Overt and Vulpes, look, they've started their week quite well overall, but unfortunately for both those teams, week 2 was feeling a bit shaky. Viking Army, Radical Rebels, Grumpy Grapes, and Fallen Angels closing out the bottom end of the leaderboard. Still showing us some really good promise, and I reckon moving further into the season, we might be seeing some even closer matchups from them.
And speaking of matchups, let's turn our attention to this week, of course. Here in this competition, week 3, look, It's been a pretty contested race so far. We are at the point, though, going into this 3rd week where we start to see those front runners look to escape the competition. Obviously, the higher you stand on the whole, the better chance you have making it the playoffs. And here, this week, we've got some tasty matchups.
Absolutely. Let's actually, as a matter of fact, have a look at them once we do get the chance to have a peek. But look, we already shown this on our socials. We do have Forsaken Boba versus Warriors, the top 2 teams about to clash it in our first matchup on the main stream, are looking to absolutely bring a heater of a matchup between the two of them. Grumpy Grapes and Vulpes will be off stream, unfortunately, for tonight. Community cast led by Proto will be then taking Fallen Angels versus Viking Army, and we shall be closing out the evening with Overt versus Radical Rebels.
Yeah, so there's a lot of connotations coming out of the matchups tonight. Obviously, that two front runner team. Look, it's a case of whoever does take that will be the one to lead in the coming weeks. And honestly, this probably should be one of the best matchups of the stage.
Absolutely, yeah. This is bound to be the big one, the big decider as to what will be the pace for that top two position throughout the remainder of the season. And really, it's up to both of these rosters to show themselves as best as they can.
Well, why waste any more time, Cthulhu? Let's get on into match one of the evening. Of course, Forsaken 5 versus the Warriors. Two teams which they've had success in the Oceanic Challenger League. Unfortunately, the Warriors this year, their race is done. Forsaken 5 making the playoffs, so they picked themselves up some Women's League teams. And at the moment, they are living up to the reputation.
Absolutely. Showing some phenomenal plays. Borderline flawless gameplay as well. There's been a few hiccups here and there, but nothing really too major, which didn't really prevent them from scoring absolutely quick and solid points. As a matter of fact, let's have a look at the rosters and get ourselves familiarized with those names. Forsaken Boba, Fish Noodle, Repel, Chloe, and Diana, and Bubba, or Butt, as some of you would know her, will be joining us for tonight. Coney and Wazoo are the sub and the coach, respectively. Looking pretty good overall, I gotta say.
Yeah, look, Wazoo, a stand-up player for the Forsaken 5 main roster in the Oceanic Challenger League, so his knowledge, expertise being added to this roster is always going to be a bit scary. I believe he's also, as a coach, facing off one of his teammates. I can't remember which team FaZe Cream is coaching, but that's an interesting rivalry that we'll be able to see play out this stage. But, I mean, the names on this roster alone, Fish Noodle, Repel, Chloe, Diana, and but Bubba, whatever she wants to go by, she keeps changing her name. This is a roster with insane potential that really, look, if I had to back a winner this match, I'd be edging out this team a little bit more. But in saying that, if you look at their opponents, the Warriors team, we have a pretty well-rounded roster. Let's get on into it. Let's have a look at the Warriors. Of course, it is AJ time for Pi Sav, Aussie Princess back after a season of hiatus, and Soy with Mons and Crips T as the coaches and subs. Look, I did say this is going to be a hard one to call. Part of me wants to back Forsaken 5 just a little bit because, Mandy, fangirl, got to work with her a lot back in the day. So as much as I want to do that, but another part of me as a New Zealander has to back the Warriors. So this is a pretty rough match for me to call.
Yeah, look, I definitely will agree this is a very evenly matched matchup. And both of the teams have absolutely amazing players and coaches as well. On the side of Warriors, Crips T being the coach and the sub, as a matter of fact, looking to bring her now quite even broader competitive experience into the roster of Warriors. Definitely could do quite some work here for the team. But apart from that, yeah, look, each and one of those players on both ends of the spectrum are looking very potent, very powerful, and could certainly frag the ever-living heck out on the server.
Well, there you go. Look, these are the two teams that will be taking stage in our first matchup, Cthulhu, and then the question has to be, where is the battlefield that we see them take to each other on? As we get into the map ban veto phase, of course, it's already done and dusted. Chalet, Oregon, Coastline, Clubhouse Bank, and Cafe banned out, which means we're going to Tuscany. Look, a bit of wine, a bit of the Italian countryside. You can't really complain, can you?
Yeah, look, Villa is peculiar map. I have had already a few choice of words about that map in general off screen, but look, it allows quite a fair bit of expanded gameplay, and by that I mean just more of an extended roam, a little bit more of those kind of gunfights outside of and quite far away from the site, a little bit of extra ground to cover for both attack and the defense, meaning that you could still also do some cheeky stuff in the basement. So there's a few opportunities here and there for both sides to really play it out.
Yeah, definitely keen to see what the girls have prepped coming into this week, of course. And as we get ready to jump into the five, look, what has to be the defining factor for both these teams on a map like Villa?
Oh, look, it's a bit of a head scratcher. I would imagine that we are going to be seeing some very, very close rounds, and I would imagine that something relatively similar to just hunker down play around AVG with some extensions in the 90 hallway, maybe some cheeky plays from below once we get to Trophy Statuary. Look, we'll have to see. Let's have a look at the Villa itself, get ourselves a quick cheeky flyover before we get straight into the game. Good luck, have fun to both of the teams. It is bound to be, still, regardless, a banger of a matchup, like we mentioned.
Yeah, definitely, probably, well, like arguably one of the more strategically intensive maps in the comp pool at the moment. So you hope the strat book is nice and deep for these two teams. As we get on into it, Warriors will have the start on the defense, which, I mean, we've seen a repeating trend, Cthulhu, in that the attacking team, if they can take a decent half, and I'm talking even still a 4-2 in favor of the defense, they can carry it over with the momentum going into the second half.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The defense here is still quite strong, quite solid, and could make things a whole lot difficult for the attacking side. But we've seen also a few attacking side plays, and now this ban of Sledge could actually be quite a curious one.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of vert to be played on Villa, so definitely keen to see how it plays out. Yeah, look, they're maybe a target ban. We cannot confirm or deny, but Valkyrie, yeah, that one makes a lot of sense. It's such a strong pick at the moment.
Yeah, Valk pretty much is one of the biggest operators here. Probably on par with somebody like Pulse for that vertical game. Absolutely deadly and could really shut things down really, really quickly. Mira as the final one to be banned out. Nothing too, again, unusual. That operator also allows quite a very potent set of defensive positions. So with her out of the equation, yeah, as Soy says, these are some funky bans, and gotta agree.
That's look. I wouldn't say funky per se, but look, the Sledge one is definitely going to be an interesting band to see how these two teams play around. We're ready. Speaking of interesting, we're going tertiary first.
Dining is definitely going to be a peculiar one, because we've seen quite a fair few teams on some of the other maps, like Cafe, or better yet, even Clubhouse, that do go first for the tertiary site, and essentially trying to throw in a spanner in the works of their opponents. So going on to Dining, I think it's by far, out of all the tertiary sites that we've seen from quite a fair few maps, this is by far has to be one of the more still defender-sided sites. That still allows quite a lot of breathing room, still allows quite a fair bit of vertical room. It's just it's a little bit more difficult to defend purely for the fact that, well, you always have to keep an eye out on the Astro, on the Trophy Statuary, and make sure that you don't really give away too much ground, because otherwise, look, majority of the floor around the area is breachable, meaning it's a borderline necessity to expand onto the top floor, and the moment you lose it, look, plays like Pulse and much more kind of, I suppose, anchor-heavy operators for this kind of side would be having a very difficult day.
Yeah, honestly, the big linchpin already is looking like it's probably going to be Repel. If they can get her in safely above, start to expose some of those weak positions to this defensive setup, they can make the job a lot easier. But, you know, contesting that Pulse is always going to be a little bit of a struggle. So hopefully they can find some avenue in. Fish Noodle already up, looking to get those windows open, looking to get the drones deeper so they can start to establish that vert control. We know this Warriors roster and how potent they can be.
Yeah, Warriors could absolutely bring in the heat here, and already seeing off the back of some of those peaks and some of those plays, Soy is looking to get into an early engagement here against what I would imagine will be Fish Noodle, who's about to go in for the push as a Twitch and possibly jump in. Diana, on the opposite side, is looking to get into some trouble as well, but apart from that, it's a bit of a calm before the storm, and we are looking at possibly just F5 trying to take the top floor first as a main priority.
And we are looked at. You look at the setup. That's the interesting thing to me already. We are starting to see reminiscent setup from what we got to experience at Alta Delios in the OCL, and I would imagine that is in no small part to the fact that Cripsty is a part of that roster. Soy can find the opener, but to fall with Chloe down as well. The Warriors are kicking this off in a pretty spectacular way.
Absolutely, already pings are coming about. Soy Could even find a swing, but instead it's a C4 to claim her. It's already all falling apart. Down, essentially up for Repel and Diana to try to make a play, and quite a solid swing, gotta say.
Soy off the board. It's not going to be the biggest loss, but AJ looks to get aggressive on the red stairs and drops Repel, and that vertical threat all but nullified here in the first round. Warriors are coming out with a bit of aggression.
Look, definitely seems to be like the play, because Forsaken Boba taking quite a bit of time to go in for some of those swings, but at the very least it won't be a clean-cut win for Warriors just yet. Chloe and Diana still able to bite back here and make it into 3v2. Apart from that, really, it's just already still going to be quite a difficult one. Pulse tracking is there to know exactly where that push may be coming from. The one thing that I maybe having a few concerns is how well will Sav play her cards here, because a single pre-fire through that door could possibly even end her life, but no, that won't be the case. Instead, it's an attempt to flank from below.
So much information for Sav there. Waiting and looking to contest. But Warriors know they don't have to contest anything too heavily. They've got the time to play off of. Check a little pre-fire from Aussie there, looking for the swing, and unfortunately Chloe just beelining towards the bomb chassis, just caught off guard a little bit, not waiting, not anticipating the play in the corner. Time for Pie with the shotgun, the M590 just goes in, guns away, and the round's over.
Very solid round, solid defense from Warriors, as they've kept their run pretty nice and clean. And that's your tertiary site completely now done and dusted. Now all you need to do is, well, now go to Aviator Room and Games, aka AVG, and play your usual game. And so they will, bring it in the smoke. New Zealand Warriors are looking to deny some of those entries quite early, or maybe even just play for the last moment push, given that there's always Mutant and Mozzie that will be preventing the intel gathering game, or rather making it extremely difficult. Womais are there to prevent some of those smokes and frag grenades to be thrown in, given that Womai somewhat recently got the buff, albeit I say that recently, it's already been quite some time. And yeah, look, Sav on the Aruni will make it just a teeny tiny bit even more difficult to make an entry into some of those choke points.
Now, I'm going to be going for that same extension. Yeah, this is straight out of the Ultimate Zelios playbook. They want their extension. They want to be able to contest and to walk in. Like, you love to see it. You love to see the trickle down, that experience that Crips T has picked up for herself playing in the Oceanic Challenger League, and being able to bring it to a team and say, hey, look, this strat really, really works, and it can make that push from the Master Bedroom side so incredibly hard. Let's run it. Let's get it going here. And already, we've seen them find success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, all of those holds so far proven just the right way, albeit also huge props to the players that managed to frag out. Better yet, this was a team ace as well that completely missed out on. Each and one of the players was able to nab themselves a frag each on the side of Warriors. But yeah, look, apart from that, it seems like it is going to be a relatively similar play here by Forsaken Boba to try to just make sure that they don't step into any of the frost mats, they don't have any oopsies with some of the performances, they not having any of that. But speaking of oopsie, unfortunately for Repel, this is already not looking too good, and it's time for Pi that finds her.
Once again, another key player off the board. Unfortunately, losing out on the buck that early into a round means that any sort of vertical contest from below onto Aviator Games is going to be dealt with quite early. I mean, being able to get below Aviator, deny whatever mute jammers are in place, whatever magnets are there from below, is just going to blow the site wide open and enable Forsaken Boba to make some momentum here. But look, it's not over, and it's never going to be over until it's actually over. But it's still a pretty big thorn in the side.
Hello? Sorry, there was a bit of a moment of what was happening with the camera, but okay, Forsaken Boba so far struggling to make entry into the building, to make any kind of tangible push, but there we go. I spoke about that, and instantly Diana is the one to make a swing.
Sav off the board again. It's not the most impactful kill the attackers take away, and Time for Pie answers back with a double this round. Fish, Noodle, and Repel, probably two of the worst operators you could have lost immediately, and that's just big impact for the Warriors.
Absolutely. One of the biggest frags, like you said, yeah. Gone, taken out. which allows New Zealand Warriors to just at this point fall back to the side, play default, play for time, because already 2/3 of the round gone and out, and really for F5, the only big play that they've done is take trophy and stature, and even then, there's still a perfect chance for them to be C4'd. Look at this positioning, look at this timing, perfect C4.
AJ just absolutely nailing it there. Looking for more. Chloe answers back in the fragrant and time to play, so one player difference is enough that they could possibly overcome. We get into the final 35 seconds, though, so time is definitely going to be tight. Two players holding this angle. A lucky spray from Chloe could take this from the hands of the Warriors. A little bit of hesitancy, not willing to full commit right now. And Chloe, actually, sorry, no, it was Butt out on the back. Oh my lord, I forgot what the word is, but Soy finds Chloe after Aussie falls. We're down to the 2 versus 1. Butt tagged heavy, and AJ will steal it away. I completely forgot what I was talking about. Balcony, that's the one. There you go, study belt. I finally get there in the end.
We got there at the end, Panda.
My
yeah,
brain
look.
legit stopped working there for a second.
Yeah, look, certainly a few other things probably also stopped working there for a few other people, but look, Second 5 tried to make a play there, tried to make a push. Unfortunately, just the fact that they lost 2 very impactful operators in the early game meant that they were already starved for some of that utility, and really, even a single frag didn't really end up doing much, given that the rest of Warriors roster has been already reinforced on their positions, and we're still able to roam pretty convincingly as well. So, in saying that 2-0 is so far upon us, with the blue side of Warriors winning out quite convincingly, so far we yet to see a round to be pushed into a full-on something across the lines of 1v1s. Yeah, something needs to be done here, but interestingly enough, full reinforcement this time in the statuary area, comparative to what we usually prefer to see. I'm assuming Sav is just making just an opening with that Goyo shield. Yes, she is.
I mean, look, if it works, it works. Maybe copping some damage from the shield, not the ideal play, but you got to make do with what you have in those situations.
Absolutely. As on top of that as well, we see quite an expansion by Aussie into the aviation room, so this could be an interesting one. As long as she doesn't go in for too many peeks, that could have been different, but instead it's just AJ just peeking over, saying hi to Butt.
Man, we were kind of excited to see Butt take to the field today. We expected a lot, but unfortunately against this Warriors roster, the overwhelming aggression that they're already showing, looking to take the fight, and AJ with the second takes down the hard breacher, takes down the Twitch. It is now all on Diana to get these walls open. Rappel looking to swing in, but AJ's found a third. The Commando going huge. Time for Pi adds another body to the pile there for the Forsaken 5 crew. And it's now on Diana, who's stuck downstairs.
Isolated from her team, not being able to find any sort of leverage, and the rest of the roster kind of just all fell apart without any chances of making the play here. Diana could actually find a shot onto AJ, who was completely unsuspecting, but left with barely any HP means, well, next gunfight will be deadly.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be the flawless, but you make do with what you've got. The time to fight, looking to crouch on through that main lobby entrance. Diana in the library doorway. Time to fight. Seems to have her number right now. Diana is going to get the advantage and the spray down, so maybe a couple of unneeded kills thrown away there by the Warriors. But again, it's still a 3 versus 1. They have time, they have utility. Time to fight. Look, accepts it. Well, just takes it all in stride.
Yeah, I mean, blaming anyone else but herself on that demise probably would have been a very peculiar one. But despite that, still a chance to try to clutch up. It would be a miracle run, though, will have to say, by Diana if she ends up winning this out, because barely any HP and so many angles to contest. She's trying to peek that angle with the cameras, which is probably the most interesting thing to me, but Sav is the one to wrap it all up. That's it. We are going on a 3-0 scoreline.
Flawless rotation of sights there. Commendable effort so far out of this Warriors lineup. Forsaken, they just don't seem to have an answer to this the constant aggression that the Warriors are looking to bring.
Yeah, that aggression is certainly quite difficult so far to counter, it seems. The other issue being that Forsaken Boba, despite their amazing stats so far from the previous seasons, they for some reason deciding to go in for just solo swings left, right, and center instead of having any kind of pressure from some of the different positions. Their push has been so far very single, kind of one-dimensional, and coming from one single stacked position, which makes it way easier for Warriors to read into what is actually the game plan for F5, or rather Forsaken Boba. And from there comes just a general kind of organizational problem for the attack, because, yeah, look, whilst they have all the utility, they have all the setups, even the previous round was a very perfect example of just why you need to have multiple angles of pressure, because nobody contested from the, I believe that was, just quickly scooting over, to the east window of study. All of them, just 3 players stacked right by this very doorway and the study balcony, and just decided to push one by one.
Sav
Why is Sav...
She would have seen someone on the cam, I would imagine, or the scan, one of the two.
Or the drone.
Yeah, the drone. Yeah, actually, no, that makes a little bit more sense given the timing of the round. But either way, she just wants some friends. Unfortunately, in the game of Siege, it may not always be the best option to invite them in.
Full send, it seems. We are going to be going in for the action phase.
Right on into the side, over the plant. Time to fight for one, but time to back, and it's quick trades across the board, leaving us at a 3 versus 2 in favour of the Warriors. Still 2 minutes and, well, just under 20 seconds to play. Time for 5 reduces that number even further. A 3 versus 1, and it is Fish Noodle. And unfortunately for the team, Warriors will close themselves out of 4th in very quick timing.
Just absolutely decimating the opposition, not giving a single chance. Still came out to be quite prepared for a rush, and it was a solid idea by Forsaken Boba to try to switch it up, bring in a rush, bring in something different. A change of pace certainly would have been a good idea, but unfortunately for them, Warriors they just build differently at the moment.
Look, they're a little bit cracked. Let's be perfectly honest. It's the New Zealand Warriors after all. A pretty fearsome team at the best of times. Back to Aviator Games on the cards. And, well, last time it was, again, the Warriors, that heavy aggression, which all but denied entry into the building. I think it was not honestly, I would say only that last round did anyone from Forsaken Boba get to see the bomb site.
I think on that one, Chloe did manage to make an entry into the site for, I believe it was something across the lines of 2 seconds before getting fragged out. But yeah, majority of the team of Forsaken Bobo pretty much were met with quite a explosive welcome right around the master bedroom area. And this is, I think, exactly where we are going to be seeing yet another contestation, unless there's going to be somewhat of a change of pace, change of heart, and we are going to be seeing a push, say initially clear out the ground floor, clear out any of the roamers. That is going to be time for Pyre with a C4 prepared and ready, and the drone is there to confirm that there is going to be some sort of presence. And from there on, take control of red stairs, take control of main stairs, make that 2 places just your pressure point onto the defense, because otherwise, if it is going to be yet another one-dimensional push, it is going to be shut down very quickly.
Yeah, Warriors have been pretty solid at exploiting those openings and punishing. Repel needs to keep herself alive just that little bit longer. In fact, the longer she can survive in the round, the better, of course. The more angles she can open up into the site, the more she can have impact, and she is a very, very good player on top of that. So the longer she can hang around, the more gunfights she can be involved in. They are looking to get themselves in through laundry and then dining first off.
Hunting for time for Pi would be absolutely huge here if they do manage to find her out. Full-on search party is actually being issued out, with Chloe being the live drone here, with Repel pushing up. AJ Tiger is the first one to be spotted out and look to be pressured from quite a variety of positions, and Repel needs to nail her shots here.
Still on the hunt. The wall being open. Repel is just dropped by AJ. Time for Pi finds the follow-up as Chloe looks to get aggressive. Diana will at least stem the tide for now. Answering back with that kill onto AJ, who has really just been a thorn in the side. Any more frags from here? Look, time for Pi on this lurk down in the basement is going to be a problem.
Absolutely, yeah. And right now, Diana is completely clueless as to where that room is, expecting that Mute has already rotated over to the main stairs, but that's not the case. Fish Noodle as well, a little bit confused, a little bit curious where could the action be coming about, but is completely clueless about that one either as well. And it is going to be, well, the rest of the team just playing default positions really on side, ready to frag out Diana. If she decides to go push on those main stairs, this will be her demise, and so it is. Jeez Louise.
Timing, opportunity, and she makes the most of it there, Fish Noodle. But sort of...
Look how scared they are. They're still clearing out outside.
Look, I don't blame them. They're so worried about their flank from behind. Time for Pi finds her 9th of the matches, but falls Nitro Cell as well. I don't think it's going to find a kill, given the proximity and the placement of Fish Noodle. She's going to try and shoot it down. Try and shoot it down. No, never mind. Doesn't matter. Sav's found the kill.
And all that time trying to get some sort of return on the utility investment, well, it's the Twitch that going down to the hands of Sev. Yet another point, 5th point as a matter of fact, for Warriors.
I mean, we spent the entire run up to this match hyping it up. You know, Warriors versus like 5-2 teams at the top of the leaderboard. Gonna be the biggest match of the stage, most likely. And well, the Warriors, they may have taken some offense to that. They clearly are here to prove that they are the superior team.
They took that personally, and well, here we are. I suppose 5-0 is upon us, possibly even a flawless half, which would be a huge blow to the confidence of Forsaken Boba, I would imagine, given that, look, their run was looking very promising, but if they end up taking an L, chances of them sticking around on the 2nd place would be quite slim, I would imagine.
Look, I mean, even at the best of times, this is a pretty stacked roster to be coming up against, so I can understand why Forsaken Fire find themselves in this position. I mean, you look, AJ, Aussie, Soy, Time for Pi, Sav, these are all names that have been in some of the best teams in the competition of Women's League for the last 3-4 seasons almost. So, look, I had questioned, you know, because Aussie didn't play last season. She took a step back, decided to do her own thing, and then she comes back, and I was really excited for it. And she is right there in it. Yes, she's only 3-1, mostly because Time for Pi and AJ are hogging all the kills. But I mean, you could not ask for a better start to a return.
Oh, absolutely. This team is extremely stacked and very able to just show us some absolutely huge plays, and I wouldn't put it past that they could possibly be the big contenders for that championship. On the side of Forsaken Boba, look, yeah, maybe it's just not their day. Something is definitely a bit off on some of the performances. Unfortunately, it's been a quiet game for the majority of them. Apart from Diana, who's been doing her best to just put in all the hard yards and trying her best to make those rounds as competitive as they can. But look, there's only so much that a single person can do.
Yeah, in these situations, like, you want to hold out hope that we will see this match go that little bit deeper. We will see potentially an overtime or something, but Warriors, just the expertise that's coming through, and I would imagine no small amount of the impact from KT in the backside. Aussie finds Chloe. It is just coming apart. Warriors have this map in hand.
And nailed down pat right now. This may be a bit of a problematic play here. Oh, no! Swings it out, just about to try to rush away, but still prepared absolutely to shut down Diana, but finally Butt is the one to get the better of her.
She was too busy rushing away, some would say. But, look, jokes aside, this match it's just a story. This is not traditionally how you see Villa played. Usually, you know, defenders will sit, they'll play passive, wait for those contests to come, the roam will go and do as much damage as possible. But the Warriors, at every single step, every single part of the map played so far, they have been the aggressors. They have been the ones taking the contestation to Boba. And it shows that just how much Warriors are in control right now.
Yeah, you know what they say, the best defense is a good offense, and right now, look, it's the offense that is being taken to them. AJ Tiger, pardon me, Time for Pie, is the one to find yet another frag. Just keeps on just lurking everywhere and nowhere, seemingly, and it's borderline impossible for Forsaken Boba to find any kind of solution. Soy already gets the better of Bud. It's all down to Fish Noodle to make a play, but in a 1v3, with the way how things been going for her, is just not a whole lot of things been lining up.
Yeah, I mean, this Warriors roster is just leaving Forsaken in the dust in a 6-0 half, rendering everything that they are trying to do. And you can see, Forsaken 5 aren't trying to innovate. They're trying to do something, anything. But Warriors just have the counter immediately.
Quite so far seem to have been an easy time for Warriors to read in, or rather not even read in. It's just more so, I think it's the sheer amount of confidence that the roster has for some of those swings that's been so far just paying dividends. And going into the attack here, I would imagine that we could be seeing a very similar thing. Probably one of the other big highlights is the fact that Soy very consistently throughout several rosters as well, being able to stick around the Thatcher pick for the attack. And she was still able to put out quite a fair few heater moments and big frags for herself and the team. So, wouldn't put it past that. I want to be seeing another stunner performance from her. Apart from that, look, the rest of the regulars, AJ Tiger on the Iana and Time for Pie on the Zoth, looking to, well, continue their whole rampage.
The rampage is indeed. One round now separates Warriors from the first place here in the Women's League, and they are not really wasting any time about it. Now as they head onto the attack, you look at the numbers across the board. Time for Pie, 10 and 2.
I was just about to highlight that up because, yeah, Time for Pie so far had a phenomenal performance. Herself and AJ Tiger sitting on 7-4, a little bit less of a cleaner performance from the Iana player, but overall, I gotta say, those two gamers from the Warriors camp so far shown us some spectacular performance.
Well, the round is underway. Things are beginning to unfold here in what could be the final round of the half, if there isn't something that changes significantly for Forsaken 5 in the next wee while. They unfortunately will be relegated to second place going into next week, and potentially could lose that on the round differential as well. So they're going to have to hope that they could get a couple of rounds in before things come apart. But Chloe with a monster double nitro. That's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, that was a huge C4 there from Chloe, just showing us the ability of that coordination and how impactful that pulse that Repel is wielding can be with relaying all that information about the jump-ins, where to place the C4, and yeah, it just worked just like a charm, meaning that Forsaken 5 might just be able to yoink away themselves yet another point here, because the rest of the NZW has actually opted into going through the pantry stairs, and this could be a big swing here.
Does the scan see it? Do they know? And the pre-fires coming through would reveal that, yes, it would seem that Forsaken Bova do have every idea that there are players stacked here in pantry. Aussie looking to hold the angle around the bomb chassis. Opens the door, just gives in, pulls out X-Kairos. But the mute gem is there, the wall being open. Diana finds the kill. It's a third in the round. Nitro deep. AJ has to walk back, but Chloe finds her third of the map. The shotgun plays coming through. And AJ now has to hold an angle for absolute dear life. If that hatch gets popped, she could find herself well and truly overwhelmed.
Absolutely. I mean, even already in this kind of situation with a swinging butt, it's just borderline impossible to do anything in any shape or form. So finally, we do see Forsaken 5 on the board, in the play. And once again, funnily enough, it was on Dining. That was the starting win.
Interesting. The tertiary site, and all of a sudden, Forsaken Boba on the board. What a story that would be if we see the 6-0 half trade.
So the day of 6-0s. Yeah, look, wouldn't put it past Could be the case. We've had that kind of ongoing storyline running with the fact that teams been having some very struggling attacking sides in Women's League, so wouldn't put it past that. Wouldn't put it past that we could be seeing a somewhat of a similar turnout, or at the very least, a much closer scoreline with still a win favoring Warriors by the conclusion of this match. Something across the lines of even 7-3, 7-4, where Forsaken 5 could really run away with quite a fair few dubs for themselves.
That's exactly it. And I mean, Forsaken, at least it's a breath, a momentum stall. They can now potentially start their comeback, but it's at 5 rounds in a row that you require without making a single mistake. So hopefully they can pull that one out of the hat. At the moment, we are going to see that slightly more aggressive setup for Aviator Games from the side of Forsaken 5. They want to be contesting that study door. They want to be able to contest that study positioning. And maybe the answer is aggression meets aggression.
That could be the case, yes. Aggressive plays on the defense so far seems to be kind of the flavor of the day, given how well it worked out for Warriors, how well that extra aggression, that expansion all over the map served well them. And really for Warriors, if they can't nail their shots, if they can't figure out what do they themselves need to do, that will be a completely different storyline. Time for Pi making her own solo entry into the building. We'll be looking to try to shut down any ground floor presence there for Warriors, which could be a solid start. But look at the sheer amount of ground that has been actually just freely given away. No peek at the main stairs, no presence at the actual top landing, meaning the next best thing is butt contesting at the 90 hallway.
That is going to be a big butt, of course. Can she do it? Time for Pi is going to have so much information to work with, and there we go, Diana dropped out of this equation that is this best of one. Unfortunately, with so much time remaining, Warriors can just keep stealing that ground, stealing kills here and there, and the more they take away from the Forsaken 5 crew, the harder it becomes.
Absolutely, but has quite a tall order on her shoulders, because comparative to her ability for that long-range gunfight, Time for Pi would certainly have quite the big edge, given the 2x scope, much less of a recoil to deal with. It's stacks on top of it all. Frag grenade from AJ Tiger through that opening hole in the floor could have actually done a phenomenal amount of damage to Fish Noodle, but decides to opt out of that as well. Instead, it's damage to Repel, which is borderline impossible to heal now, and, well, no chance whatsoever. A very tight angle with a shotgun is instead now being picked.
Yeah, this time around we don't see the Thunderbird in play, so the longevity is just going to be that much harder to maintain, but does find the kill on a Soy, though. Brings it back to 4 apiece, which, I mean, look, 45 seconds to do. They do have the guns that in play that could allow them to make it happen. A Nitro Cell and 2, in fact, Nitro Cells to be able to make some big plays off of Gemini through. Chloe spots it, shoots it out, denies as much information as possible. But it's time for Pi to answer the next kill, the next call, and Fish Noodle falls. We're going to get even further, more aggressive sprayed from that 90 position. Chloe dropped. Sav finds it, but going to answer back, having to step up big where the team needs her. Unfortunately, it's not enough. AJ drops it. Now it's Repel alone. Spotted, shot down. And the Warriors will pick up the win 7-1.
My oh my. We thought that this would be a close game. We hyped it up to absolute top levels, but unfortunately for Forsaken 5, that is not going to be the case. Instead, it's New Zealand Warriors coming out with a sensational dub, 12-4 scoreline for Time for Pi, and the rest of the team still also putting in quite the solid numbers. But look, quite an unfortunate turnout there, I gotta say, from Forsaken Boba. Maybe not their time, maybe not their day. Still, they get to keep one of the top positions, and it's still kind of somewhat of the early days and into the season, so there's still plenty of chances to get themselves back onto that top position.
Yeah, I mean, last year does not lock them out of that playoffs position, which is something that they got to feel good about. But the Warriors, I mean, confidence should be the name. This should be the talking point for them off of that matchup. They took the fights to Forsaken Boba at every single step. Going into the weeks ahead, teams should be doing their homework against this Warriors roster, because you cannot drop the ball even for a second.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, Warriors will certainly be able to dominate the field if no prep is being done, if no kind of any extra effort being put into your play. And certainly, I gotta say, against the Warriors, look, if not on the offense, we'll make sure that you at the very least strat out for defense, because those 2 rounds that we did get to see were still quite close, I have to say.
But for right now, we are going to throw it to a break. When we come back, we'll take a deeper dive into our match 1 of the evening. And from there, we head to our match 2, of course. That one's going to be an interesting one as well. Overt versus the Radical Rebels. So make sure you're ready to go after the break. We'll be back very soon.
Can you feel me? I'm so scared if I to show my feelings for you. Need to know what you're feeling, know what you're feeling. I'm so scared if I to show my feelings for you. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? I'm so scared if I to show my feelings for you. Need to know what you're feeling, know what you're feeling. I'm so scared if I to show my feelings for you. Can you feel me? I have to stop going back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you. I have to stop going back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you. To ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to ya. Back to you. 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 I have to stop going back. To ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to ya, to ya, to ya, back to ya. I have to stop going back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back
Coming back on into things here, Cthulhu, and we're looking towards the tail end of the evening, of course. Our first match went 7-1 in the way of New Zealand Warriors. A pretty dominant victory overall, and apparently some of the other matches we've had tonight have been pretty dominant as well. But our matchup, of course, going into it, we have Overt and Radical Rebels just around the corner. But before we get there, we'll have a deeper dive into the match that we just saw over on Villa and see just how big that performance was. And you look at that 12-1-4 time for Pi. Not quite the cleanest KD she was attended to at one point, but I mean, 12-4 is huge.
Absolutely. Look, a phenomenal performance from her and AJ as well, showing some good plays and good frags and phenomenal roaming on the defense. Pretty much shown that Warriors were coming in quite prepared for Villa comparative to F5. Unfortunately for them, it's been a very quiet game.
Look, it's not the result that you want at the end of the day, and there's only so much you can really say about it. It was just the Warriors understood the game. They took it so much cleaner. They were being the aggressors in almost all the situations, and not a single player on the team went negative at the end of the day. So, yeah, they've got a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks, knowing that they can put up a performance of that caliber. But that is match one done. We turn our attention, of course, now to match two, Cthulhu, as we look to, Overt versus Radical Rebels. And you look at the numbers on the board, 7-1, 7-3, 7-1. So across the entirety of week 3 here, it has been pretty clear who the winners are going to be.
Absolutely. Pleased to see that Grumpy Grapes starting to put out some big numbers, especially against a team like Vulpes. They certainly are showing some good score lines for themselves. 7-3 is definitely a very worthy one to watch out for. And possibly Grumpy Grapes are going to be pulling that big run for themselves this season. Going into Overt versus Radical Rebels, look, I gotta say, probably there is a bit of a favor for Overt, but the way how they've played last week, look, there's still definitely quite a fair few things to really fix up before we will still be fully confident in that roster.
Yeah, in terms of skill, both teams look quite even at the moment here in Season 6, but today, again, it's a case of similar to the Warriors versus Second 5. One of the teams has to start, extending that lead just a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see which of the two teams it is going to be, of course. But let's dive on into our rosters, see who are going to be the main players in this matchup. Psycho, Triceratops, Baki, Beans, and Cortari. And look at there, he is Face Cream. So he's his teammate coaching Forsaken Boba. So look, there's a pretty hefty rivalry there as well.
Big Man Arnie is there as well. And overall the whole roster is very able. For them last week, though, performance wasn't particularly the best, but got to point out Cortari with the big numbers. Triceratops has been putting out quite a fair few heaters as well. Baki as well has a very promising potential for herself, and then Psycho and Beans to fill out the rest of the roster. It's looking to be quite a potent roster, or rather, a potent team.
Yeah, it is indeed, and honestly, look, there's a lot that could come out of this matchup tonight, especially with some of those key players on the board. But their opponents, of course, it is the Radical Rebels. They are no slouches at all. They are definitely one that could walk away with a victory here. Zero Prince, Mystique, Aussie Ash, Corvice, Alora. You got Weasel and Meeps in as the subs, and Elska, one of the community casters, who was a community caster last season, is now picked up the coaching role.
Absolutely, Elska having seen quite a fair few plays last season as well, would have quite a solid understanding about what could be done about some of these teams whenever Radical Rebels do end up facing them. But yeah, look, this team is also, the numbers may not be looking as flashy as they are for some of the other teams, but they have been seeing quite a fair bit of action, and we did see them quite a fair few times where they were able to they were able to improve their performance. Borderline after every round. So wouldn't put it past that they would be able to put up quite a fight here against Overt.
Yeah, well, where that fight will come is obviously what we're going to be discussing next, going into the map vetoes, Cthulhu. We've seen Villa once. Going into the map vetoes for this matchup, we are going to be heading to Clubhouse instead. Villa immediately banned out honestly, I'm glad. I'm grateful. No back-to-back villas. We don't need that energy here in the Women's League. Clubhouse, we're back to basics. It's a go-to in the comp scene in ANZ. So definitely this is going to be one that should play well for both teams.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, Clubhouse is one of those maps that has been pretty much played out to the absolute perfection from some of the teams, and honestly, both of the rosters should be quite familiar with this map. So I doubt that there will be a full-on 7-1 or 7-0 sent. So look, I'm just keen to see how things will really work out. Good luck, have fun to both the teams. Let's have a quick look at the German Clubhouse before we dive into all of the action, though.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be a night map. As interesting as that would be, the old flyovers probably need to... Actually, there are some more up-to-date ones.
Look, I miss occasional shenanigans with a night map. I'll say that.
If you want, we can go and play some Villa after we're done here. That's a night map.
I'd rather not. That's instead of a night map, it's a nightmare.
Close enough. And Alex definitely agrees with that one. He's not a big fan of the favela in ranked, but we do have the Govert Gunners coming in. Hopefully Ravenna has done her job and sorted that. Sorted out the Go-Gurt partnership we've all been dying for. Although, look, Cthulhu, I'll put this one to you. If Overt were to get a yogurt flavour, what flavour would it be?
Ooh. I reckon probably if we're matching the colors to the flavor, I'd probably look into something maybe kiwi flavor mixed with vanilla, maybe something like that.
Kiwi vanilla, I'd rate it. We'll see. We'll focus group it with the over crew, see what they say. We'll do a women's league review as well. But at the moment, we're into the band bays. Thatcher, Jackal on the attack, Cade the first of the defense, and that leaves it with Radical Rebels. Do we see that Valkyrie taken out again, do you reckon?
I'm tempted to say just a mirror, really. Oh yeah, alright, Kotari, no worries. Instead, neither of those actually is going to be banned out. It's Smoke. Big ban here, and yeah, Laura is already wowing about it. Not particularly excited about that one.
Big stage Kotari. What does she play now, though? No FMG9 Smoke. There's nothing to do.
Look, I'll say that last time we've seen Kotari and FMG9 Smoke, she wasn't given a lot of ground for her plays. Chalet was not her map in any shape or form, and she was shut down left, right, and center. So unless she had some large plans for Clubhouse, look, I don't think she lost a whole lot. Let's just put it that way.
Well, we do see a number of interesting players left in the comp pool. Mira there, Valkyrie as well is potentially going to be a bit of an upset factor in this matchup. But look at that on the attack, Kotari back to the basics, 0 in hand, and it's that's what she's known for. It was 0/fuse on the attack and then Smoke on the defense. One of those gone, go back to the Smoke. Oh, the 0. There, Smoke's gone. My brain.
Brain dead. Yeah, look. Fuse, I mean, we did get to see back in OCL the Warriors players bring out the Fuse that worked out far too well for some of those plays, so I wouldn't put it past that maybe a Fuse could be brought out here as well. But apart from that, look, Radical Rebels are setting up quite a stock standard kind of setup with the introduction of Shanka as well to try to delay and to essentially compensate for the lack of smoke.
Apparently, we are seeing some Squid Games being played with Kotari right now.
5 seconds left.
The old stop-go action. She has to be allowed to move, otherwise it gets a bit unfair. So slow. Is she going slow?
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
Is she going slow? Let's have a look now.
She's all off and right now. She's sprinting. She's breaking the rules already. The gunshots are coming. I can feel it.
About to be shot.
Attackers have recovered their
But
diffuser.
look, not yet, man. Maybe interesting decision to actually use the secondary hard breach device to open up a hole rather than something like a Hibana set of pellets, but we don't see really actually any hard breaches, as a matter of fact. We do in fact though have both Kotari and Psycho currently have 4 split between them secondary hard breach devices. I would imagine Sarah would also be running it. Also some of them? I didn't spot it before, but regardless,
I think it may have been a Claymore. Obviously, there's a limited amount of flank watch available to Overt at the moment. And so they probably, they've got beans. Okay, so no, it is just a full commitment of secondary hard breach gadgets. Laura looking to bandit trick this wall, it would seem. Is going to be hit with a bit of explosive damage there, but she's still on the job. We've seen some very interesting bandit tricks, or the asphyxiating bolt as well, to try and stop it from happening. They do get the secondary hard breach gadget off, but that's, look, it's time and commitment wasted.
Absolutely. Quite a fair bit of time wasted already. Half a round is gone. Very passive play from Psycho, I must say. And it's something that could be a point of confusion slash concern for Overt if that does end up biting back, because Alora has a phenomenal ground here, but, well, I say that, Sarah is the one to just absolutely delete her.
Yeah, just the power of that M24, the sword buzzing away, and losing out on Alora means no Nitro Cell there. Beans takes out Aussie Ash, so the other Nitro Cell that could have been playing with leaves it just down to Core Vice with that explosive denial. Going into the final minute, this is looking good for Overt.
Yeah.
Trade 1-for-1, but Psycho is looking to get that plant down in the final minute. Mystique below, Core Vice commits the Nitro Cell but can't find anything from Cash. Psycho pulls off, goes for the recommit onto the diffuser. Push has to come now. The communication is there. Mystique with a hell of a headshot hits Psycho out of action. Core Vice dropped by Sarah, still on that highway window. The plant will be reattempted here. Does Mystique have any info whatsoever to work off to try and deny it? No, it's going to have to be a contest.
Activating the bomb diffuser.
Well, not for long, though, at the very least. Cortari is the one to wrap it all up. Good round, or get wrecked, however you want to interpret that. I'll leave it to the viewers. But Overt do wrap it pretty well. Nice and clean performance. A few question marks, at least personally from me, but they were all washed away quite quickly, and it was more so just one of the players waiting for the rest of the team to push up, which is, well, again, probably an even better idea that I have. That was initially just swing, just go for that frag. But yeah, look, overall, I rate this well done. Overt claiming a clean victory on the first round of the attack. Now they just need to keep this up, because RDC looking to retry CCTV in Cash Room and looking to now bring in a clash for this one.
Attackers
I mean,
locate
it
and
may not have
defuse the
been get wrecked. It might have been good ragu, but so good soup.
Oh, yeah.
True,
True.
a different kind of good soup. Maybe not the best kind, but a kind.
Hey, look, ragu can actually slap sometimes. Just you need to not mess up the spices, which is usually kind of the misfortunate point.
Yeah, it's all about spice at the end of the day. Spice variety is the spice of life, and well, we are going to go back to the same site, so already we're missing out on that spice.
Yeah, look, but I mean, we do also have Zero Prince bringing out the clash, so I mean, we're just switching out one spice to another. Before it was Chunka, now it's the clash. But unfortunately, Chunka didn't really work out before. At the very least, maybe a shield on the back will be able to cover Zero Prince in case of a similar situation.
Well, I mean, we've seen some interesting stuff done with clashes over the last couple of weeks. Some to great success, some not so. Interesting that we don't see the Thunderbird paired with it, which has been fairly strong at the moment. Alora looking to go for that bandit trick once again on the CCTV wall, trying to open up subvert angles to try and contest down below, should they look to get in and try and contest it. But Overt, look, yeah, they're getting the same positioning. They're looking to start it up again. Alora could find herself in a bit of trouble.
Trying to figure out if it was Aussie Ash trying to contest against Beans and Bowie, but Bowie is the one that gets absolutely demolished, and, well, that's quite unfortunate for the Iana player.
They have to try and get something going. That frag grenade would have been huge, and no more frag grenades means that they've got to do something else to try and deter Alora from contesting the bandit trick. Now, I do really rate this setup, though. The committing to, 6 secondary hard breach gadgets. The change has obviously enabled a lot more fluidity in attacking lineups.
Absolutely, yeah. Something that we didn't really get to see a whole lot in some of the higher end of the competition, but for in the context of Women's League, yeah, absolutely. This does allow a little bit more of that comfort zone picks of the operators. Obviously, you no longer are locked into those just straight up hard breacher roles. Like you said, fluidity is pretty much the name of the game.
Well, Overt at a disadvantage, but not an insurmountable one, of course. Mystique and Aussie Ash tagged up. This position for Mystique is one that could be quite heavily punished if they do call the rotate in and look to pinch her out and find the frag. But getting that much closer to the final minute of play, back on the same site with the same utility available. Beans, the wall opened in front of her and stock pulled off for now. I don't know if they have the utility needed to clear out Zero Prince.
Oh yeah, look,
Attackers recovered the bomb.
one hurdle is dead, the second hurdle is going to be a completely different issue. Already some breaches are starting to be made, but again, it's still a very much a one-way street, and Ozzy Ash is looking to go in for the run out as well the moment there's a full-on sound call out.
Oh, Mystique does find Beans in the end of Zero Prince. Going to take a bit of damage. These asphyxiating bolts are going to have to do big work if they want to enable the push onto the site. Ozzy Ash looking to rotate back to provide support. Doesn't go for that, but it's Core Vice to drop Cortari. Things are looking pretty dire. The health bar's dropping low for Radical. Means that Overt could potentially make a play off it. The asphyxiating bolts drop Zero. Stera with an absolutely perfect positioning on it. Core Vice drops Psycho to double in the round. And, well, it's a Laura to steal away the potential triple. And, yeah, understandably a little bit upset there.
Bit unfortunate. But look, yeah, that's a solid response, I have to say, from Radical Rebels lineup. That was a cleanly contested site, cleanly contested roam, and it was very much on Overt for not being able to dedicate a little bit more kind of confidence to some of the pushes, because Beans, if she would have decided to actually keep on contesting, she had the upper hand there in the gunfight against Ozzy Ash, who was about to start rotating. So there were a few good possibilities, a few good chances, but fortunately the decision was not there. So we do get to see a 1-1 scoreline between the two teams, and now Gym Bedroom is upon us, being the tertiary side. We've seen already back in the previous matchup the tertiary sides being kind of the first picks from both of the teams, and they were able to do it in a pretty fashionable way to defend it and do it in a very comfortable for themselves also way. So wouldn't put it past that RDC also put in quite some effort into this very site to see what can be done. Obviously, players like Zero Prince already had the whole rotation opening down pat almost, and quite possibly RDC might just be able to run away with yet another round for themselves.
It's looking in pretty good form to make it happen, of course.
10 seconds remaining.
I mean, that round was, again, we saw a similar thing in map 1. The aggression ramped up, and the defenders were able to take the gunfights to the attackers there. It's exactly what we saw in that round. Radical Rebels, they flipped the script. They said, we're going to be the ones to make the moves here, and they did it. It worked, and it really upset Overt's momentum.
100%. Momentum has been certainly completely shut down, destroyed, and annihilated. We are looking for possibly another two-player entry directly into the supply room, with Baki leading in the charge with the hologram and Beans trying to play off that, but that is a very withdrawn play. See, the hesitation is in there, and going to be quite a concern possibly going into some of these gunfights.
Yes, we are seeing more of that Commando 9 coming into play. Obviously, the Roni nerf has hit a lot of players quite hard, so they're switching back to that Commando 9 a little bit more in the magazine, a little bit longer range threat potentially, and well, you look at the setup that's coming through, the mirror in play being used interestingly by the side of Radical Rebels. And, oh, okay, Overt, a different approach. Maybe if they had him on to, I could understand it, but they don't.
Yeah, and I think it was more so just to avoid the mute jammer that was originally there, because there was mute jammer guarding
so,
that
yeah.
on that wall. So look, not a bad idea, but yeah, I see what you mean. Maybe a little bit of an overplay, but Cortari does find an opening for herself, but only to get Baki traded out for that frag.
They still have Sarah with those frag grenades. They still have some utility available. And with just the Jaeger in the hands of Mystique means that that's not the insurmountable task that it could have been at one point. Rotating back down to the basement. They have the mirror window in the site looking into Logi as well. So there's a lot of bases currently being covered by Radical.
Absolutely. That Shomika launcher from Zero Prince could actually do quite some work, but she needs to be very wary about that push from the cash room that is about to be mounted up, and Psycho and the rest of the team needs to make sure that they are nailing their shots, because otherwise this could be yet another secondary hard breach device is being put on to open up yet another position, yet another sideline, which does force Zero Prince back onto the side. slowly but surely taking away all this ground, but a swing from Qatari could do a huge amount of job here if she can nail it, but she does not know about the presence of the Tachanka, and that could end up being a huge issue.
They are starting to clear out that utility. One of the mirror windows popped, that one in bathroom. Zero Prince tagged, and well, oh my lord, I thought that was a gunfight that Qatari should have won, but it's absolutely dropped. 0 for 2 and Alora for a third. It's now down to Sarah. She walks in, does get the trade back onto Zero, does find Cool Vice as well, but no time. The diffuser, Mystique as well, chasing hot on her heels, mops it up, cleans it up. And, well, unfortunately, Radical take the round away, despite a mid-round show of brilliance.
Yeah, it's a peculiar situation for Oved, because obviously they have all of the players set up for the frags, and maybe we could be seeing something of a turnaround, but from them, because so far it's been a very hesitant play, and it's been very difficult for them to keep up with that pace, which is kind of another point of discussion, really, because they looked to try to, keep on swinging, but the moment it gets to the point of them needing to swing, it's at that point they just completely unable to ramp up any courage, really, and they trying to play for that team play, but again, once it comes down to some of those gunfights, they just all falling one by one. In a similar fashion, what's been happening for Forsaken 5.
Well, a pause called there, and we should be getting things back underway in just a moment. Interesting. We go back to basement. Well, we go down to the basement. The Tachanka as well making an appearance for Zero, and honestly, it was a very, very solid round for her. So I'm not that surprised that we're seeing it come out again. Whether it's locked in or not is probably going to be a different matter.
Yeah, look, seems like we are going to be locked in for the side at the very least. Kova is swapping off the Alibi to Valkyrie, who should be able to provide a little bit more of that info-gathering utility. And on the side of the offense, an introduction of Ying being brought on board is a curious prospect, I have to say. Apologies. Something's gone wrong with some of the peripherals. But Psycho to bring in the Ying, that means... for me, it speaks that they want to bring in a little bit more utility to essentially force their opponents out of the situation, out of the play. There we go, we're finally back, and out of those very heavily fortified positions to allow them for that swing. So it could be the play, and it could do that. But for Psycho, unfortunately, all 3 rounds that we've so far seen played out have been completely silent, and this begs for a question, well, how will the rest of Overt be able to play their cards? Because if one of their key players is having an issue getting on board with the frags, being able to dedicate more than just utility to the team, how well will the rest of the roster be able to play?
That is going to be the question here. I mean, this introduction of the Ying could be quite a valuable asset and looking to pick up another round for Overt. But Radicals, in much the same vein as the Warriors in that last match, seem to have their opponents pegged. They know where the aggression is likely to be coming from, and they know quite how to deal with it. Psycho looking to punch on into Freezer, get control upstairs in the kitchen. But you look at Mystique. That could be huge.
Absolutely, a phenomenal angle here that could really shut down the play, but knowing that both Kotari and Sarah have the hard breach devices, one of them will be still locked in for that animation, so could be very deadly. And right now, those hits on the floor could really pull things apart. Here comes the prey. She does spot this out. That's Sarah. That's Capital gone. That's huge.
Oh, that's unfortunate. This asphyxiating bolts, the smoke bolts as well, just going to make it that much hard to find cover, flush out defenders. Barky looking to push on down main stairs, at least provide some sort of coverage. Nitro Cell deployed there. Unfortunately, Core Vice can't quite hit a target, but the secondary hard breach will start to get these hatches underway. And honestly, I'm loving seeing this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a great thing to witness, given that that buff really made quite a fair few operators extremely powerful. And I still definitely have to say, Zero in his state with the Gon 6, now with the 2 of those hard breaching devices and the Argos cameras as well that could deny quite a fair bit of defender's utility. He is just an absolutely just a powerhouse of utility, I have to say. At least breaching utility.
But at the moment, we're heading to the final 40 seconds. Cthulhu in a 5 versus 4, and Radical will have a bit of an advantage. The Shamika launcher in play for Zero is going to make dropping into the site a nigh impossibility. These Ying Candelas have to go and land in quite a pretty significant situation, or position, rather. And you can see Psycho trying to figure out where to stand it with the flank. Aussie Ash, I think, may have gone for the punch after running out of ammo, but Psycho finds a second. A quick follow-up, there's a player close, and the Eagle finds a third. Psycho's really popping off right now. Mystique does drop beans, though, so there's 2 versus 3.
The diffuser's not there.
Mystique is, this is huge. Deny the diffuser, it's upstairs, but Kutari catches the flank, catches the frag, runs it back up, and takes the round for the team. Unfortunately, Mystique not quite aware of where that threat was coming from.
Man, that was a really, really sketchy round, I have to say, from Avert. Still, though, it's a win is a win, I'll say that. But playing off that time, playing for that rush, I don't think that will be a consistent and reliable way of keep scoring the rounds. So I'll have to see how the rest of the first half will go, because I definitely think that Overt might just be able to open up their scoreline in a much more dominant way once we get to the defense. But apart from that, I gotta say, Radical Rebels still being able to keep applying that pressure from so many positions, it is very difficult, it seems, to really counter them unless you have a very thorough drone game, which Avert unfortunately don't.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Well, Psycho goes from 0-3 to 3-3. Radical Rebels will be heading back to that basement site once again to see if they can make it happen a second time around. But you look at the way that Radical are playing. They're looking to get aggressive. They're looking to take those fights to Overt. And we are possibly going to see quite an even half as a result of it.
Could possibly be a 3-3 scoreline that we could be seeing from either one of the rosters, and wouldn't be surprised that that is actually going to be the case, given that, look, so far, this has been a bit of a back-and-forth kind of play, with Radical Rebels honestly performing much better than I initially expected, so big shout-out to them.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
And as we look to get into round 5 here, 2 rounds left in the half, obviously, could go both ways. Hopefully, there's adaptations made in this round. Could be enough to, extend that lead by 1, keep it a 3-3 going on for the attack. But you look at the positioning. Overt every single round. Yeah, every single round they're going straight into stock. They're looking to get their control. They're looking to open up the hatches. And I mean, they do bring in the Hibana this time over the Capital, but I mean, they're already pretty much guaranteed to get these hatches open.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's so much utility that they are bringing in for breaches. It's borderline impossible to counter all of it. Unless, though, there is going to be some presence up above, and, well, sure is. Both Aussie Ash and Mystique playing top floor, but both of their positions have not been really drawn out in any way, and this could be very problematic once we get to the late part of the round.
Yeah, only a minute gone. You look at the deep roam presence by Radical Rebels. You got the dual roam of Mystique and that Melusi in the hands of Aussie Ash up in the second floor, and the hatches spotted by Kotari. So Overt have some idea that there is this upstairs presence. The question will become, obviously, how do they deal with that? Do they just circumvent it, go straight for the site, or are they going to be forced to engage?
It's probably going to be the big question, really. Both of the positions that Mystique and Aussie Ash are trying to guard are still very much really uncontested. Mystique could get into quite some action once the swings do come about. I nearly miss out and waffle on that one. But Baki, at the very least, now very knowledgeable that at least there's one person upstairs. What they don't know is about the presence of Aussie Ash, who could shut things down once things do get dicey. Could pull a very nasty rotation with a very nasty surprise. So, apart from that, it's a calm before the storm, but Psycho is the one to start throwing the hands here.
Strong hands and Candelas Allura as well, tagged up just a little bit as we look to get this action phase underway. By action phase, I mean the pop-off moment in the round. Secondary hard breach gadgets also serving that dual purpose of not just getting the hatches, but getting the soft floors as well. Cortari kicks things off. Aussie Ash falls, looking to cover the flanks from that bar position. Mystique will take away Beans out of the equation. No more lifeline, no more LMGE to make the big plays around, of course, and it makes things just that little bit harder. The Shamika's denying the plant. Allura takes the kill with the help of Zero Prince. The drop in. Baki drops Zero. Allura falls to Sarah. And they've got to pick up and go for the diffuse plant. Cortari down. It's just Sarah alone. She has to stick it out because she hasn't got the clock to play with. And Cortari will be finished. But no, Sarah secures the plant and can look to make some frags happen. Call by spots it, but Sarah wins it. It's traded back by Mystique for a third in the round. And double digits on the board and a defuse to boot. Radical Rebels will take their third.
Absolutely just madness of a round. That's probably the best way to really describe this. So many opportunities that were missed out, and some equal amount of opportunities were gained for both of the rosters. Radical Rebels, though, on top out of this very round, round number 6, is looking to present a possibility for either a 4-2 scoreline or a 3-3 if Overt will be able to bring this back. Interestingly enough, though, straight away we do see the pick of IQ for Beans and a Flores for Psycho, the operator that was actually banned out last map, so we didn't get to really see him shine. But it seems like Overt are looking to lock it all in.
Yeah, there's so much in terms of utility to be able to open things up here, of course. With that mute on the board makes things a little bit harder. So they're going to have to do the work initially to clear up the mute jammer, then look to get the Roteros in and Zanai, especially this position of the mute jammer. No, it's not the mute jammer, the mirror window. The mirror set up in the bathroom and the one looking into Logi. They need to be able to clear those out so they can start those initial pushes.
Absolutely. Those are going to be quite key positions to look into. Allure, once again, expanding a little bit more into the CCTV to try to drain all of that hard breach utility that will be brought on board once again by Sarah and Cortari.
10 seconds left.
Which means 4 separate hard breach charges that will need to be dealt with. I'm pretty sure neither of the rest of the operators can bring the hard breach charges. But instead, well, Beans is the one that will be fulfilling, at least to a certain degree, the soft breacher charge. The soft breacher role in the form of IQ's 3 breaching charges. And already, once again, Aussie Ash and Mystique straight off the bat looking to make the entry.
They want to get a bit aggressive here. They want to flush things out.
Oh no!
Complete circumvention. An Aussie prep with the Nitro just needs an audio cue. This is going to be a big miss drone. Nitro toss, but it's a bait back the other way. Baki doesn't actually end up entering through secret.
Despite the fact that she nearly got C4'd from that position, does not even opt to check in, completely oblivious to the fact that she nearly died there. But look, we are going to be seeing a plan B now from Mystique and Aussie Ash to try to make some form of rotation. But apart from that, wait. Cortari actually already managed to make a very quick and early breach without any issues. Now that could be problematic for RDC in the later stages if that goes unnoticed.
Ain't wasted no time here, of course, but Beans kicks things off with that kill on the Zero Prince. And again, such a pivotal pick off the board early. Tachanka is the majority, if not all, of your breach, your plant denial. Having the Shinika launcher, not to mention that DP-27, I mean, it's such a great deterrent.
Absolutely, yeah. Losing him out in the early stages is definitely going to be heavily impactful and very favorable for Overt. Once again, Cortari back on that breach that she made, looking to possibly cut off some of the rotations or maybe just going for a rotation of her own. Psycho was a little bit too overly ambitious, thinking that that drone won't be spotted out. But apart from that, really, it's just once again calm before the storm. And I say that straight off the bat, it's Mystique to find an opening on that flank. It's huge.
Mystique definitely putting on the carry hat right now for the team. Alora chimes in with one of her own, avenging Zero, who fell earlier on in the round, of course. Kotari looking to find an angle, spots Alora, and does equalize the women count there. 3 versus 3, it's doable. Psycho still has 1 Rotero drone in play and could look to maybe open things up off the back of it, of course, but Beans is going to have a lot of information. Psycho straight in through Logi. Kotari tagged up. They don't know Psycho's here. She's got a great little coverage position. Coolvice going to walk up, but Psycho, she was on the plant, and Coolvice heard it, swings out, finds the head, and with 15 seconds remaining, Overt are scrambling. They have to find something big here. Beans looking to pick up the position her teammate fell moments ago, but Kotari drops. So does she, and Radical Rebels will take the 4-2 half.
Absolutely stunning performance from RDC. Shutting down things left, right, and center. Looking just absolutely just clean on that performance. Absolutely phenomenal. And look, at the moment, it's just, yeah, Overt are looking absolutely toothless. That's probably the only way for me to really describe this. It's a very unfortunate kind of string of events that's been occurring to them, and unfortunately, no way of finding any kind of answer to what's been done. The fact that Radical Rebels were allowed almost, I believe, 3 rounds in a row, that very expanded roam without any repercussions,
Attackers need to locate and defuse
that's
bombs.
probably the biggest point of concern here for me.
It's been a factor every single round, and this Jackal ban seems to have been working against Overt for the entirety of the map so far. And it has been a problem that we've seen out of not just the girls here in the Women's League, but across a number of leagues here in ANZ, is just a significant lack of flank watch and what it can mean to a successful roam for the defense.
Absolutely. The fact as well that we have so many operators also available for, well, not so many, but still both of the operators, pardon me, for that passive flank watch available in form of Gridlock and Nomad, and neither of those been picked as kind of a response to the roam game, also was another very large question mark here from me for Overt's attack. But look, we've already way past that. Overt no longer are playing on the attack. They get to now defend the place, and looks like, well, Kotari, the fact that smoke is missing, it's instead the MP5K Face Cream's favorite, and it still provides all the range.
Unlucky Mystique. Despite the stellar start on the defense, look, when Kotari does choose violence and decides to, as she puts it, stop playing for the team and look to go a swinging, you got to watch out.
Absolutely, for that very reason, it is just going to be absolutely dangerous to try to even swing her in any shape or form. That MP5K is a very dangerous weapon to really blast off, and right now a few hopes, few opportunities. Flashbang goes in, tried to maybe clear out a few of those ADSs that could have been there, but there we go, finally it's there. Aussie Ash though does go down off screen, down to the hands of Kotari, and we're looking at possibly even yet another swing from Coalvice, maybe even.
Coalvice is pretty, distance from the team over towards Jim. In fact, they will be able to start to get this wall open, of course. Alora on the job with that Hibana.
Imagine
cover the angle. This is looking bleak.
Imagine how funny it would have been, just Radical Rebels opening up all those reinforcements there. Hey, friends, we got the breach. Wait, friends? Why is everyone dead?
That basically sums up what we just witnessed, though. I mean, the Zero was on the job, looking to get things underway, started up the Maverick trick, blew out the jammer, Bandit batteries as well that were in place. So they get the Hibana over, they get Alora to start things up, and all of a sudden Mystique and Aussie Ash are both dead, and you've lost a lot of your punch, a lot of your power in this attacking lineup.
Absolutely, and now with the fact that the ground floor is completely uncleared and there's no resources to really clear it out in a very prompt time, just like that, Psycho is going to start picking things apart, and the rest of Overt are looking to just shut things down here extremely quickly. No chances whatsoever. There's C4 presence, double C4 presence, as a matter of fact, from below. So for Overt to lose this round, they will have to throw this quite heavily, and, well, that won't be the case.
The only thing they're going to be throwing is hands, of course. A big win there. And all of a sudden, things are looking a little bit concerning. Overt, despite going down 2 to 4.5, they are not out of it yet, and they've transitioned onto a side which they are, look, let's be honest, going to be favoured on. It's defence. A lot of teams in ANZ just thrive on the defence. Radical, I mean, it was a good start, but maybe they have to wonder if they've just committed a little bit too much early and they can't close it out.
Could be. Could be. I'm liking the decision from Zero Prince to introduce Fuse here rather than, well, not rather than Flores, but it is a playstyle change nonetheless. Apart from that, the rest of the team is looking to bring in just about the same amount of utility. Fuse in his current state is actually yet another very potent and underappreciated operator. I mean, Fuse charges now being able to blast through the reinforced walls means, say, you can get out of the range of the Mute Jammer and have the ability to just clear it out without any issues whatsoever. And 2 hard breach devices, pretty much plenty opportunities for opening, and an AK-12 to boot. I mean, what else do you want?
No bias or anything, of course.
No bias, not at all towards the Russian operators. Not at all. Not at all.
But look, I mean, maybe.
I mean, am I wrong though?
No, he's very, very solid at the moment. We got to witness that actually the other day
exactly.
with the Warriors in the Oceanic Challenger League. They pulled out the fuse. It worked phenomenally, scarily almost. Well, actually, no, definitely scarily. Unfortunately for Zero Prince, she's the one getting the spook.
Taken down to barely any HP, left back at the spawn. Here's where exactly with that. Oh no.
Kotari's getting a bit cheeky.
I need to put this as like my number one rule. Just at the conclusion of the prep phase, just watch Cortari, because there is bound to be just absolute naughtiness.
I mean, honestly, just watching Cortari in general is probably a smart move. Zero is going to be dropped there, unfortunately. They should be able to get the revive, but it could also just as easily be used as bait by this Overt roster.
And Beans might just have that very huge opening. She's able to capitalize on top of that, but I'm not too sure if she's knowledgeable. No, she does not know that there is a down Zero Prince. So, won't be able to claim the frag, but already look at this. Just absolutely huge. Cortari just going nuts, and I'm missing all of those shots again. Why?
Overt on the defense. I mean, look, maybe it's just the org in general. On the defense, the same thing is true for the ROCN team. Lethal on the defense.
Absolutely.
Well and truly in their own comfort zones. And Gutari, speaking of, she's blowing open the garage door. She's looking to get aggressive, looking to find an angle onto anyone that is silly enough to peek their head out. And she's found it. She's found 3 in the round. It's down to Alora, and she's on the roof. And honestly, I would stay on the roof right now. I'd sit, talk with the team, and say, what the hell is going on? Because we cannot keep up.
Yeah. Not at all. Radical Rebels had that 2-round buffer for themselves to keep up, but at the moment it's looking a little bit bleak. At the very least, not the flawless round, but Bucky is looking to make it even better. And pardon me, instead it's going to be Sarah to do so. And not the flawless round that, as our 6 analyst is telling us, but it is still a great round by Overt. 4-4 is upon us, and Overt are looking to absolutely upset here the RDC roster, who done a solid job in the first half. Unfortunately, second one is yet to be decided whether they can make a comeback or not.
4-4. A solid effort from Overt to bring it back even right now. Mirror in play. Instead, it's going to be an Echo. And I think this might be the coach whispering in the ears of the players over to Overt. I do honestly look. I do rate an Echo over a Mirror on the basement site. We've seen just how massively impactful it can be
used by attackers.
So I'm keen to see Psycho pick up the reins of the drone man himself. I think. Have we maybe lost Cthulhu there? Unfortunately, I think that might be the case. He's dropped from the VC, having some minor issues there. Yeah, his net has dropped out, so hopefully we can get him back in quick smart. We get this lovely top-down view of what's going on. Hopefully it shouldn't be too long before we get him back. If not, this could be a very, very hard solo cast for me. Oh, we're getting movement. I don't know if that's him or Alex trying his absolute best. It's Alex. Alex's debut in Season 6 as Observer here. And look, he's already killing it. We can see everything that's going on. All this movement from Overt. Yeah, just getting information. Yeah, net drop. Unfortunately. And, well, I can see the presence on the basement. Psycho, interestingly enough, yeah, look, no surprises on the Echo, tucked in behind bar in church. Well, so far, Radical's looking to get... They're not wasting any time. They want to get kitchen control. They want to start that vert up and get these hatches open as well. We do see the Maverick and the Hibana in play. Alex, you're doing a phenomenal job, buddy. Keep it up. First minute gone. Allura going to cop a few shots there. I believe it may have been from that upside down rappel on the kitchen window as well. Look, Overt looking to get the aggression and trade it back their own way. We are just waiting on confirmation that Mr. Thulu is back in action. And apparently his internet's back. He's just getting himself sorted and he will be back in a moment. Halfway point around though. A single committed gunfight just yet. Everything has been pseudo-engagement. Zero going to cop a big chunk of damage there. I believe that was from the Nitro cell in the hands of Beans. Maybe, just maybe, whether or not they can look to take that advantage in the lead off of it. But it's Aussie Ash to kick things off. Sarah falls. No more Valkyrie. And no more Sarah, who has been a rather impactful player for the team. Her and Kotari doing a lot of the legwork right now. So hopefully they can still mount some sort of comeback. We are just trying to figure out what is happening. He seems Cthulhu is still having some minor issues, but Kotari, there you go. As you're talking about it, say it, and she does happen. She will find that kill, looking to do even more damage. Radical find themselves at a world of hurt. Allura tagged, Aussie Ash and Zero all but dead right now. And, well, there we go. She's still going to find the kill regardless, despite being so low. The VO5 is great in those little situations. Kotari dropped, and the two primary fraggers for the team are looking like they might be out of the equation. From the sounds of things, we might be getting in a super sub to come join us, since Cthulhu is unfortunately having some more significant issues than we possibly imagined. 20 seconds left in play, and execute has to come at any point. Zero still opening up the floor in the kitchen right now. Corvice position around bottom main. Laura drops through the hatch. Going to be tagged up. Psycho still tucked in behind the bar. Three players incredibly low. Even lower still. Aussie Ash will find a kill regardless. Laura drops Psycho. Tucked into the corner. It's all over. Laura's on the plant, and somehow Radical win it. What is going on? What is going on? They're a team kill to boot, and Radical still pull out the win. Overt had them down to blinking health bars across the board. And Proto, are you here?
I am here, Blue Panda. What's going on? A bit of a dire live. Am I live? I hope I'm here. Are we all good? I believe we're good. I've got the all clear. We are here, Radical Rebels. I've just called up Panda. Fill me in. What's going on? 5-4 to Radical Rebels right now. This seems like a little bit of an upset for Overt.
Well, it was a 4-2 start for Radical Rebels. Overt brought it back to 4-4, and Radical Rebels, I mean, should not have won that round. They had three players sitting below 20 health, and Overt just weren't able to do it. Psycho, unfortunately, got caught on the drones down in church. She was playing Echo, of course. Got stuck on the Yokais. Allura even picked up the knife kill to boot. So, unfortunately, we are going to just keep the pause going a little bit longer. We've got Proto, and look, Proto. I pulled out a little magic trick with my floating mic the other week. You want to see an even better magic trick?
What is it this week, Panda?
Oh, it's a hit!
Oh, that's actually that's cool. That's cool. Also, I do apologize for my lack of background, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very short notice. I tried to fix it, but we're here. Small little rehost. We're going to get something fixed up, and then we should be right back into it. But from what I was seeing on the mainstream, we got Mystique fragging out right now for Radical Rebels. Got some Spawn Peak action going on. It seems like it's all going down on Clubhouse Panda. I mean, right now, who are you? I mean, what are we picking? I mean, it looks like Radical Rebels could be good to take this away from what I've seen so far watching the mainstream. But I mean, Overt, they're catching back up. They've closed that gap a little bit, and it's closer. What are we thinking?
I mean, off the back of that last round, up until we got to that last round number 9, I would have said Overt back, on the comeback train. Cortari's hitting her shots, she's fragging out. You've also, it's not a solo effort, of course. You had Sarah there as well, helping out along the way. But then that round happens, and despite the blinking health bars across the board, Overt weren't able to capitalize. Psycho just spent too long on the Yokai drone, and then it all sort of fell apart. I still imagine that we are going to see Overt be the team driving the momentum in the remainder of the half, but Radical Rebels, they got that round when they realistically shouldn't have.
I mean, we saw this last week as well in the Overt match. There was a lot of that Yokai use. They were relying a lot on that information. They were really actually putting rounds on the board based just off of that Yokai play. So it's good that we've seen people sort of adapt to this Yokai styles of play. Even multiple teams now we've seen using it. We saw it in the B stream tonight. We saw the Yokai come out as well. So it's good to see teams trying to pick this style of play up. But as you mentioned, the push in there, they managed to find the Echo really quickly, shut that utility down, and it's good to see that teams have both adapted to using it as well as adapted to taking it out. And I think that really highlights some of the really good points for both of the matches that we've seen these times. We are going to head straight back into the action of things. 5-4 Panda, Radical Rebels lead 5.
Yeah, and I mean, that situation, like I said, I think that round was just a little bit of a hiccup for Overt. Realistically, they had everything in the cards that they needed to close it out, but unfortunately, just timing and not quite paying attention to their surroundings is what caught them. I mean, you saw Psycho just too long in the Yokai drone. Alora was allowed to get into mode, drop to literally a single point of health, and still get in contest, jump over the bar, and knife her rather than having to commit to the gunfight. So this time around, we see CCTV coming in Overt. This is the site that, I mean, it has worked very well for them so far already in this half.
It's also a site that we see very, very standardly set up so far, but standard is the way that works. Clubhouse has been played for so long Overt right now. Doesn't seem like they want to extend too far into cache. They do have the garage control as well as all the ADSs that you could ever imagine, mute jammers as well to pair with that utility. Kotari setting up those mute jammers right now on the bottom left to try and deny the opening of that top left garage bottom wall there. But RDC, they have all the utility in the world to make this happen. Obviously the Maverick Cabana and Thermite in play. The triptych hard breach is being bought here by Radical Rebels, which is a good setup to see from them, but it's a hard E-spawn, and it looks like cash wall is going to be their main priority.
Utility available. I mean, Overt have enough in the tank to slow it down, but the big factor is always going to be Katari. She's roaming around. She's being aggressive. She's looking to take these long-range gunfights with that MP5 in the 1.5 times. And she's already, I mean, she's bounced back in a pretty significant way. She was, I mean, close to even. Now she's sitting 12-6. So something has to be done. Radical, they don't have the option of a Jackal because Overt banned it out. And it did actually cost Overt a couple of rounds there, but now it's working for them.
Something I've also just seen. Smoke banned. Top left, Radical Rebels trying to shut down the Roman Goltari all the same. The wall's already open. Smoke not in play, and that is going to be big for Radical Rebels. Some control now gained into the site. However, Psycho is still going to be an issue from this top rafters position. Kotari as well, still on the roam. As you mentioned, Jackal not in play, but Radical Rebels here started to implement the line instead. First E1D, some drones to come out as well. Whether or not Kotari was actually spotted there, it's a completely different question. It doesn't seem like she was. Kotari finds the first on the Aussie. That's the line down now. The C4 to come out for the rotate. It's going to go off. Hatch is popped. She's ready to go, and she's going to disappear. Droned out. No refrag in sight for Radical Rebels. And Overt are going to walk away with the first pick.
They are going to have to drone now, unfortunately, too little too late in those situations. So Kotari will live to, well, be a nuisance for another moment or two. They have the CCTV breach open. They've done a good job of at least setting themselves up to go for that execute in the later stages of the round. But now they need to get that information. They need to nail down just who is, or at least approximately who is where. so they can look to make that execute, play off of the frags, and pick themselves up a win. You see, it is that multi-angle approach. Unfortunately, with Barkey dropping Zero Prince, they forced into the site there, Proto, with 2 players on the opposite side of the map.
And yet still to find con control. Interesting enough, 2 players as well in Garage for Overt. They really want to contest this main breach with those 1.5s. The diffuser now down, which is going to leave Corvice all by herself to try and retrieve that diffuser and make it into the site. But it is going to have to be up to Allura and Mystique here to make it into con. A lot of damage dealt to Beans so far, but it's not enough to take her down. Kotari finds 1. It's a flurry of kills. A flawless round. Beans with 2 to finish things off, and Overt equalise.
Yeah, this is sort of how I expected things to go in that last round, but they couldn't quite, transition the early work into a round win, and Overt, not the first flawless that they've picked up here, and they're obviously quite ecstatic with what happened just then, because, Proto at the moment, 1 round away from going to, map point for either of these teams. In the next round, of course, we'll be heading to the full regulation. At the moment, it's looking good that we potentially hit overtime here.
Yeah, OT's definitely on the table, I think, Panda, for both of these teams. I mean, so far, I believe Radical Rebels, correct me if I'm wrong, are actually close to being the team that has taken the most rounds away from Overt so far in this season of Women's League. I'm pretty sure that's right, because... No, actually, I think they are, because F5 only 7 forward last week, did they not? It's Panda, question mark. So, Radical Rebels are already pulling off big feats here tonight. And I 100% agree with you. OT is definitely on the cards. Radical Rebel, they seem to be keeping up. Overt are starting to make their way back through. But right now, this setup from them, the extension into Logi, if picked apart correctly, Radical Rebels could definitely find themselves on match point, I think.
Well, it was a Forsaken 5 win last week against
my bad,
Overt.
it was, wasn't it? Oh.
Yeah, so they've lost 1 already.
It's the fluster.
The crazy thing is, right now, off of the matches that have already happened tonight, Viking Army has jumped 3 places and finds themselves in second. Obviously, the round differential coming into play. If Overt can close this out in the next 2, I believe they take it on round differential. They take that second place position. But it just goes to show how close things are at the moment.
Anyone's game, really. 3rd week in, still some big points up for grabs and some real good seed sort of placements here from these first 3 play days. But all the same, RDC setting up now. They want to get this jacuzzi wall opened up. Corvice has rotated on over, ready to possibly pair it up with the Flores, which is in play from Zero here. They don't have any Ace or Thermite, but they do have that Habana on the board and possibility of a Maverick trick here. But Kotari, look at this angle from the garage stairs. Has all the eyes in the world on that gym window. No one is there just yet, unfortunately, for Radical Rebels. But if left unchecked, Kotari could definitely cause some damage with this angle.
There is 1 word, and 1 word only, that I could think of to describe this angle that she's currently holding, and that's filthy. Absolutely filthy. And only a mind as devious as Kotari's would find that sort of angle and be able to play off of it, of course. At the moment, though, Radical Rebels are taking their time. They're getting things underway. Breaches open. Rotero drone deep into the bathroom to flush out any players there. No, on the Kona station, the drone will be shot out there. Unfortunately, Zero Prince taking a little bit too long. Maybe the Kona clear would have been the best play at the situation, given the time remaining. As we head to the second half of round number 11 here, Proto, there are still 10 players ready to go. And I say that, I've cursed it. How is Kotari rotated down to Dirt Tunnel and still found a kill?
Quite literally the physical embodiment of Sonic here, apparently. She's gone all the way from garage stairs to dirt, found that kill on Zero Prince. That's now the Rotero's off the board. Bean's looking a little bit worse for wear as well from that main window altercation she just found herself in. Good thing Thunderbird is on the board, though. Could possibly go and get herself healed up. That they didn't clear out of the bathroom. Here's the first E1D, though. Could be the execute for Radical if they want. There's going to be the first. Kotari goes down. 2 Aussie on the main stairs, so Lion already coming in. Bid Psycho there, maybe trying to reset Beams. Not too sure what happened, but either way, goes down. However, makes up for it, finds one on the Corvice. The flashbangs come out from Habana, and this could be the execute here for Radical Rebels.
46 seconds in play, and unfortunately, yeah, it's not enough. And look, I'll be perfectly honest. If there were, there was a physical embodiment of ADHD and an attacking, or a Rainbow Six player, it would be Kotari. Just here, there, and everywhere. Mystique gonna walk on, find 2, and leaves us in a 3 versus 1 to close the round out.
Not looking too good here for Overt. A C4 is in play for Psycho here, but she's going to have to throw it from downtown, and it's going to have to land, but it's not even going to come out. The bomb's going to go down now. 40 seconds in the post plant. She still has to find 3 full HP Radical Rebels players, and she also has to go through the fact that the Konas are healing them up. Allura will take a lot of damage, but she's going to deal it right back. A crisp headshot on the Psycho finishes things off, and Radical Rebels, it's match point. Overt are now left in the deficit.
Overt are 1 round away from being dealt their second loss of the stage. Radical Rebels, same position. The only difference being that round differential, of course. Both teams are currently 1-1. And as a result of that, we could potentially see a big rearrange in that top 4 position. Of course, Overt being dropped, I believe. Oh, no, actually, so it wouldn't be that far. It would only be down to 5th, I believe, if they lose out here in this round. So still contestable going into the close of the stage, but really not the position you want to be in.
Yeah, definitely not the position you want to be finding yourself in if you're an Overt player/fan, but keep in mind the round differential as well. That's going to be huge coming in here for Radical Rebels. I mean, just placement-wise, it's going to be amazing. But all the same, now it's going to be another attempt from Overt at the top floor. Mirror being bought by Psycho this time instead of that Thunderbird. Want to try and maybe get some more angles opened up to contest that main breach, maybe even inside a Logi. We saw that played, I believe, by Kraken or Altered Zelios, one of the two. But it's a very good mirror. It can definitely be useful here for Overt if they can play it properly, because there was a large emphasis on that con side from Mystique in that round on that solo Zofia push. So they can shut that down and use this mirror to single-handedly put a stop to that. We could maybe see this flip around for Overt and take us to OT here, but it's 6-5 Panda. 1 round separates us from possibility of a Radical Rebels win or an Overt loss. I mean, it could even be OT all the way to the end. Are you feeling an 8-7? Maybe this goes the whole way. I'm not too sure.
I don't know. Like, for the most part, I thought it was definitely Radical Rebels who looked like they had the best potential to equalize it and overcome, but Overt have definitely had those moments of shining brilliance. Specifically, Qatari, who currently sitting 15-7, is leading the server in kills right now. And yeah, look, I'll say it again. If there was a player who embodied ADHD energy, it is her.
I mean, the fact that she moves around so much and creates so much chaos, just her roam style alone is causing an issue for Radical Rebels here. Let alone the fact that she may find 1 or 2 kills even off of that roam. All the same, though, this is where, okay, it doesn't matter. Mystique on the Zofia LMG, only lit up to 50 HP, is going to take her down. And that means that it's going to be a lot easier now for Radical Rebels because the roamer is off the board and the top fragger. This is not a good turn of events here for Overt, but there's a C4 to equalize. Beans on the Cool Vice. It's a little bit better now.
You see the momentary, brain trying to calculate what Zero's just seen there. As the Nitro Cell just lands in the perfect position to at least hold to the attack coming out from the Radical Rebels, and it's exactly what you want. Overt want to be able to play this one on the clock. They want to force Radical to take their time, and then they can look to stall even further, possibly. But with the utility remaining, it's only Psycho with the Nitro. Qatari obviously went off doing her own thing, losing out and potentially having that for them. As the E1D goes, as we close in on that potentially final minute of the map as well. Things are really rising tension-wise.
It's definitely getting a little bit tense. 4v4, definitely doable here for Overt. They have that denial in hand of the Nitro of Psycho. They also have some pretty decent gunners still up on the board to deal with the onslaught that is going to be the push from Radical Rebels here. Mystique obviously still alive on that Zof LMG, and a few still in play from Zero Prince. Could be huge with the cluster charges. Here's the second E1D. That mirror is going to prove to be a bit of an issue right now, but we've already talked about it at the start of the round, and this is where it starts to pay off. Beans takes a bit of damage. Flashbangs to come out now as well. This could be the entry here for Radical. They're thinking about it on the main breach. Still flashbangs coming through. Mystique takes a little bit of damage as well. Off screen, there's the first frag. Back in to find Zero Prince. The vault in from Habana. Completely blind on Beans. Needs to try and find this entry, but it's nowhere close by. Sarah is there, and it's sort of slowed down here on the execute banner.
Still outcoming once again. Radical have a lot of ground to take and not much time in which to do it. We could see this one played out in the clock, and honestly, if it carries on with this momentum, we're guaranteed overtime.
Psycho finds one. Backy with a second. It's now all up to Allura. The bomb going down in a 1v4 post plant. She needs to find the remaining 4 members. She's not even going to get one. Sarah swings on in to clean things up. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to overtime.
6-6 on the cards, and well, yeah, Qatari, you hit the nail on the head there. We are going to be going to OT, and it's the only one we're going to be having this week, of course, Proto. And the question has to be, do we only get the 2, or do we get the full 3 rounds of the overtime here? With Overt starting off on the defense, we might just go all 3.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, keep in mind thrown in the deep end, I think we're definitely going to see all 3. I mean, from the play that we've seen so far, since I joined, it has been back and forth, rounds traded here and there. Overt holding on though, which is good. They are going to go CC cash. They don't have to go master bedroom. All the sites are unlocked for them here in OT, so they can go wherever they want. But from what we saw on their cash attempt, it looked pretty good, Panda.
They did seem to have it dialed in, so they are going to be going CCTV first, and this one has been a bit scrappy for both teams. Or Qatari has to be the difference maker here in this matchup. If she can be allowed to roam, if she can be able to find frags off that roam, then definitely Overt will give themselves the best chance of closing this map out. But unfortunately, it seems the last couple rounds at least, Radical have had their number.
Especially on that entry, Mystique finding a couple of these opening picks has definitely been quite fruitful for Radical Rebels, albeit Overt losing out on those members early on is definitely somewhat painful for them. However, it didn't seem to phase them in the previous round. Obviously, they lost Qatari very early on, and they still managed to get the job done, take us to OT now. But again, very similar setup to what we saw previously from Overt, setting things up majorly the same. They have the mutes down below. They have rafters set up ready for that style of play. And I think Overt here are setting up to possibly try... Well, of course, they're possibly trying to get the 7-6 here. But, I mean, Radical Rebels, as you said, they have their number. They've been getting really close on these rounds, albeit even if they do end up, unfortunately, losing them. It is going to be a tight one here, I think. I definitely think the 3 rounds is in question right now, Panda.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're Radical Rebels, you want to accelerate the processes that you're already going through. You just want to be that little bit quicker, getting into the building, that little bit quicker and flushing out the roamers, and already they're starting to do that. A little bit quicker in getting the CCTV wall open. It means they don't have to worry about doing it, going into that mid portion of the round. The EE1D already committed. They've got 2 remaining, and that you see they've already committed players over this gym site. So they want to sweep across, go for that multi-pronged approach into the site, and enable their best chance at going for a win this round.
Pinch right here could be huge for Radical Rebels on 2 entries to the bomb site. The only issue they're going to have is going to be Qatari on this roam downstairs. Now, obviously, if left unattended, Qatari and Sarah could come up from behind, cause huge issues for Radical Rebels, but it seems like they may be opting to just play for the Nitro Denial from below. However, as I say that, Valkyrie has impacts. Qatari does have the Nitro though, so that could definitely be the choice. Second E1D here for Aussie, 1 left in the tank for the line, trying to possibly maybe find Sarah here, who was just recently on the bottom of main, however, has backed off towards that stage side of things. But here's the information game now for Radical in their mid game. They're getting the positions known to them so that they can deal some damage now on the execute from Qatari from below. Prep with the Nitro comes out, doesn't matter. Beans is there to find the frag on the Mystique, and that is your top fragger down for Radical Rebels.
Just puts the onus that much further onto the shoulders of Radical Rebels. The rest of the team has to step up and fill the void that Mystique now finds herself leaving. Going into the final minute, the utility that is in the cards for Radical could be enough to set up that push, but it's going to come down to the gunfights ultimately.
Still plenty left to work with. So many flashbangs and grenade as well from Core Vice. They might not even need to take the garage here. It could just be hard into the cash room is the choice. But with that pick from Beans onto 0, that doesn't make things any easier. 5v3. It's going to have to be a walk into the site. Psycho add ones for herself. Beans for her 3rd. Aussie as falls as well as Core Vice. Now Allura left in a 1v5. Needs to find every single member of Overt here. She's got 1 coming up from behind. Either needs to commit to the side or commit to the flank, but it doesn't matter. It's a flawless round from Overt. Back here to finish things off, and that is going to put Overt on top.
I'm like 90% sure that is, because it's not the stat that I usually take note of, which is flawless rounds, but I'm pretty sure if I was keeping track of things as much as I could in my head, that's the 3rd flawless we've seen out of Overt this map, which is a pretty scary prospect. Bucky, my spacebar got stuck. Unfortunate.
I believe actually the 5th tonight as well. We saw a couple on the B stream, so it's flawless rounds all around apparently this evening, Panda. But still, all the same, overt, very well done. But now it's Radical Rebels' turn on the defense. CC Cash, a site that you said was a little bit scrappy for both of these teams. But now with Radical on the defense as opposed to overt on the attack, who is your favorite going into this, knowing what you've seen already, Panda? Obviously, Radical, you said, seemed a little bit iffy, but do you think overt are going to be able to pull this attack off?
I mean, they have made it work, and Psycho did find a lot of her success on the attack with the Ying in play, but they are reverting back to that triple secondary hard breach setup, which unfortunately with Allura bringing the Bandit in this round is going to make that approach rather hard to execute.
Especially with the amount of time it actually takes to place those charges and have them actually go off, makes it very easy for Allura, even if being cleared out, to try and, well, not even try, just bandit trick straight up, because the timer on the opening of those hard breach tools is so extended. So this could be the downfall here for Overt's plan if they can't manage to clear that wall out. They do have a couple of nades on the board in the hands of Baki, as well as paired with the Ying, obviously, and the Capital Firebolts, which could not only be used to clear the garage, but the main breach as well. So that could possibly be the road that Overt are choosing to go down, but it looks like they're definitely going to have a big emphasis on clearing out this main breach based on where they've spawned so far.
Drones will go in, of course, same as almost every other round. Overt will take control of stock. That has been their primary objective for almost the entirety of their attacking half. Aussie down below, spotted, tag, Corvice, much the same, being contested through these vert angles. The asphyxiating bolt, no, maybe that was a Shamika launcher, grenade going through there, being deployed by Zero. So they still have the utility. Zero will pick up the shield as Aussie Ash does fall. Cortari back on the Zero. Again, like I said, she could be the difference maker.
Just to be cutting off all those rotates, that's going to be huge pick for Overt, and that's the Valkyrie and a Nitro off the board. Keep in mind, the wall will now be open though, paired with that Capital Bolt, which is exactly how Overt needed to be playing that, and the utility will prove to be beneficial in their favor with the wall now opened up. That's going to give them multiple avenues into this bomb site called Vice. With this long angle, they have had to forfeit the garage control, it seems, unfortunately, possibly one player down below on the small steps, but Mystique on the roams, looking to counteract some of that Cortari action we've been seeing on the Zero, but it's halfway through the round, Panda, and unfortunately for Radical, they're still yet to find a frag.
It's one of those situations that's never over till it's over, and especially if you are playing as a defender, you have that added benefit of an extra win condition being the clock. With the oh my lord, I was just about to say having the advantage they do, and that there is a Tachanka on the board, they can make this work. But with Allura going down, it just makes things even harder. They have to consistently hit their gunfights. They have to play their objectives and their utility. We could see a potential flank come through for Mystique, and it is going to be bucketed for, but they have no idea that Kotari's there as well.
Is not good. Sarah finds one on the core Vice. The Zero Cam now providing information on the position of Mystique. Tries to Shumika off the con window, but I think it's already too late. Overter in the site. The bomb's now going down for Psycho. Kotari holding the flank. Sarah on the cross as well. Zero possibly likely to go down. It's a flurry. Everyone's dead in a magnitude of seconds. That is a new word I just invented. Kotari and Beans, I believe, to finish things off. Overt. We didn't see 3, but they closed things out 8-6.
A latitude of seconds. Is that what you said?
I think I said, I don't even know. I'm just going to move on. It's a new word.
Because latitude is not a new word. Latitude has been around for years.
I think it was glatitude or something.
Okay, yeah, that one's a new one. We'll give you that one. That's Proto's claim to fame on Wikipedia. Yeah. He invented the word glatitude. Yes. But at the moment, look, an 8-6 victory from Overt. They start the second half down 4-2. They bring it back. They take it to overtime after Radical pick up a couple of decent rounds. And from there, look, they close it out and don't even let it go to the full 15 rounds at the end. So Overt will keep themselves in the running for that playoffs position.
Yeah, they definitely did well, especially coming in where I did. I mean, Radical Rebels were up that one round. They got so close, but unfortunately they couldn't close it out on that 6-5 that they had up. Couldn't quite make it into that final site. From what we saw, though, I mean, it was relatively even footing, Panda, I think. I mean, Overt were definitely struggling in some degree to deal with what Radical were bringing to the table, but Radical, very much so similarly, were struggling with things that Overt were bringing. So I think it was definitely a very even-pegged match, and maybe a different map, maybe a best-of-3 series, we could see a different outcome. But tonight, Overt, they just had that 1 foot up.
Yeah, it's just the ability to play off of what you've been given, your natural skill. And Cortari just, I mean, she started the half really well on the defense, was able to find some big impact on those roams, and then she started to get shut down, and then they head to attack in that second round of OT, which is something that Radical Rebels hadn't had to deal with for almost an entire map, but half a map technically, if you want to be, get down to the nitty gritty of the numbers. So she's back able to do her own thing, win her gunfights, play around those objectives. And yeah, Overt just stuck to their guns. They didn't compromise their style of play.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the same sort of style from Cortari. You mentioned her style of roam constantly moving. I mean, we saw that very much so on her attacking side as well in that zero. She was, main breach, then she was suicide, then she was down garage, double window, then she actually took garage herself, found 2 kills in there, and then held down flanks for the bomb to go down. I mean, single-handedly from Qatari in that final round was just huge play by her, finding those entries and stuff, which really set Overt up really well to close that out. And ultimately, it does show that those are the fruits of Overt's labor, and that is ultimately all they needed to close it out. Unfortunately, not letting us have all 3 OT rounds, but still, a round win and a game win is what Overt wanted.
Yeah, and we should be able to just dive on into the numbers just a little bit more in just a moment. We're waiting on production to get the match breakdown ready to go so that we can evaluate and sort of pick apart why things went the way they did. Although realistically, you can kind of identify those off the bat. You look at Mystique, you look at Qatari, the 2 key players for either team who really did step up in some pretty meaningful ways. Unfortunately, obviously, for Mystique, it wasn't enough to help them secure the win, but it was just a very, very thin margin of error that could have enabled Radical to walk away with the dub.
Yeah, go back, rewind time, see Mystique pick up a couple more kills here and there. Definitely could have been a different outcome for this map. I mean, could have been even a Radical Rebels game. You never know. I mean, Qatari ended on 17, I believe. Mystique ended on 15 or 14. Still really huge numbers and really good performances from those girls. Singular. I'm doing it again. I'm making up words by themselves. But all the same, kills alone don't win rounds, Panda. It was the teamwork that came down to it. Both teams did really well, but Overt seemed to just have that little bit more coordination in the end on their side execute for that final round. And unfortunately, Radical just didn't have the site presence to make it happen.
And it's definitely going to make things interesting, obviously, going into week 4 in terms of the standings as well. We could see, that breakaway point, especially you look at the Warriors. They are currently undefeated. They took down their next closest opponents, being Forsaken 5, and quite a look. Let's put a handy way that 7-1 is a pretty decisive win in any competition that you're talking about. So I think that has to be the main focus for teams here. It's who can catch up or even just keep up with the Warriors going out the remainder of the season.
Yeah, if Warriors are allowed to sort of get away with it without being sort of contested a little bit more in terms of round count, maybe even giving them their first loss, Warriors are definitely going to do a very similar quacked run, and they're just going to run away with it early on, and then we're going to see them in the finals again, albeit, but it is still very early on. It is still sort of pegging for those first 4 spots. We do have some stats ready, and we're going to delve into those very quickly, but looking at things, Panda, going into it for this map, I mean, still, it was so close in the end. But unfortunately, 8-6 to Overt. I mean, just look at the kills. 18 for Qatari, 15 for Mystique. And Beans and Try both on 10. I mean...
Beans and Try did find some very, very impactful kills throughout the entirety of the match. I'm not saying that it was entirely Qatari changing things up and picking up the win there for Overt, but I mean, the front runner in a race like this becomes quite obvious. So you have to talk about the sheer impact of picking up 18 kills alone. So, as it is, it's a pretty significant showing. And then you see Beans Try both dropping double digits as well. You look at the kills per round, it's still a pretty even spread. And the survivability alone is a pretty significant factor. You look at that 50% across the board for Sarah, Psycho, and Barky in a 14-round match. That's huge.
Yeah, that is That is quite a large number when you do think about it. 14 rounds, 50% survivability, very close behind Qatari and Beans, keep in mind as well. So we could have seen a 50% the whole way across the board for Overt. But as you mentioned, I mean, kills alone, big for Overt. Radical Rebels, they had that teamwork. It was relatively even spread out. So did Overt, though. And I think Overt, at the end of the day, they found the speed. They set the pace, as you said, when they sort of picked up on that second half and took it all the way to OT. And I think that's what separated them, unfortunately, this game from Radical Rebels. They found that tempo that they wanted to play at, and they played it, and Radical just couldn't keep up.
And that does bring us to the end of week 3, of course, as we have a look at how our matches played out this evening. Look, it was the longest one of the night, of course, a 7-1 for the first matchup of the evening, Warriors Boba, and then 7-3, Grumpy Grapes picking that up over Volpes. Fallen Angels fall to Viking Army 7-1. And then, of course, we go overtime for our final match of the evening on Clubhouse with Overt picking up the win at the end of the day. It does present an interesting change to the standings, though. Obviously, a couple of big wins here or there can be the difference maker going into the playoffs bracket. Better seeding, of course, Proto. And honestly, I'm keen to see just how much it has changed as we get it up on the screen. I do remember Viking Army took a pretty big jump.
Yeah, they did on the B stream, a big 7-1. Could have been 7-0, but all the same, 7-1 is still something that you have to take into consideration as a big dub, and indeed it is. They go up to 3rd. Forsaken Boba now below them in 4th. Volps still on 5th. Overt 2nd. Warriors keeping hold of their 1st place position. The standings, Vander, are definitely becoming quite interesting as these weeks progress. I'm interested to see what happens at the end of week 4. Could we see Warriors? Well, I don't think we will see Warriors fall, even if they do take a 7-0 loss from 1st. And that would mean that Overt would have to take a 7-0 win. But even still, the standings right now are pretty insane.
Yeah, look, as it stands, it's still doable for a number of teams in the competition. I think first seed is probably going to be a pretty hard-run race to decide who takes it at the end. But, I mean, going into next week and the matches that we will be seeing there, Overt versus Warriors, if Overt lose that matchup as well, it all but solidifies Warriors in first place in closing out the season, given how, the prowess which they're showing week in, week out. At the moment, they are 21-3 on round differential. They have dropped 3 rounds across the board, and you really got to rate a performance like that at a plus 18. The head-to-head is going to come into it, of course, before the round differential, but that's a pretty big margin to try and overcome. Honestly, do you think we get that upset, maybe?
I think if Overt can really pick up what they're putting down as much and not have any more OT games, could definitely be the choice. And it would also have to obviously mean that Warriors start fumbling a few more rounds, maybe lose a game. Then we could possibly see that upset. I definitely think, given the numbers that we have, it is in the cards. But it's going to come up to some pretty big plays from some teams and some pretty bad play from Warriors, which we haven't seen so far from them. So could it be the case? I would say, my gut would say no, but there is definitely always possibility in this game because that's what happens at the end of the day. Maybe one team's better on the day. I mean, could be anything.
Well, I mean, with the Warriors averaging a single round loss per week, next week is looking a little bit bleak for Overt. But for now, that does bring us to the end of week 3. The standings as they are set the stage for a pretty interesting remainder of the season. From myself, Proto, Cthulhu, and Alex, of course, behind the scenes, we are signing off. We'll see you next week.
lost with you. I don't recognize who I've turned into. I'm losing hope and getting myself back. Everything around me is starting to turn black. Don't tell me you're hurt again. Tell me how wrong I am. Tell me how it's all my fault. Yeah, I've met my match again, starting from scratch again. Where is the pleasure in all this pain? Don't you lie to me and say it's all okay when it feels like I'm drowning. I hate to say goodbye, but it's time to go. All I need is someone I've never felt more divided than now. Every word that leaves your lips never means how it sounds. You've conquered the best of me, could have just set me free. Games that you play are just agony. And now I'm beside myself, no one your fucking hell. Let me just go, let me just go. And don't you lie to me. When it feels like I'm drowning, I hate to say goodbye, but it's time to go. All I need is someone strangest addiction. I could say I'll quit without any conviction. Broke my own heart this time for believing that a ghost could find a body alive that hasn't seen the other side. So don't call me, I'll find something to escape my mind. What's the cause when there's no love lost between us? So burn the letters, there's a tragedy in every ember. In every ember.
my strangest addiction. I could say I'll quit without any conviction. Broke my own heart this time for believing that a ghost could find